戦争は変わった。一つの時代が終わり、俺たちの戦争は終わった。
War has changed. It's no longer about nations, ideologies, or ethnicity. It's an endless series of proxy battles fought by mercenaries and machines. War and its consumption of life has become a well-oiled machine. War has changed. Verified soldiers carry algorithmic arms, manipulate social influence, AI enhance and regulate their timelines. Memetic control, information control, emotion control, battlefield control. Everything is monitored and kept under control. War has changed. The age of deterrence has become the age of control, all in the name of averting catastrophe from weapons of mass destruction. And he who controls the battlefield controls history. War has changed. And when the battlefield is under total control, war becomes routine.
Think outside the cage.
The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy.
You are listening to Canary Crime News Tour.
You're listening to Canary Crime News Talk. Today is April 27th, 2026. We are live to tape on episode 935. And today, Solomon's Ballroom. Signing on from off the grid, Razzle Dazzle. I'm your best buddy Dazzle, and you are not crazy.
And my name is Gonz at Face Like the Sun, director of the Age of Deceit films and author of Archetypalism, your favorite Asian provocateur for Christ. Live to tape from the metaverse to bring you the best news, which is the gospel message of Jesus Christ, while reporting the egregious with a well-rounded, biblically grounded take on world events. It's Monday.
Gary, what day is it? Monday. Monday.
And one could argue that April 27th is an important day for some people, like the folks over in Sierra Leone, Independence Day from the UK, part of their post-colonial transition. So there you go. That's nice.
Happy Independence Day, Sierra Leone. Leone.
It's also Freedom Day in South Africa. There's a lot going on in Africa.
Is that so? That's also another Independence Day.
Yeah. It was the first multiracial elections in South Africa, which led to Nelson Mandela becoming president in 1994.
Freedom. Wow.
Yeah, freedom. And let's see what else. There's something else that happened. The Magellan Explorer. I don't know. It's not as important. What's important is there's no news to talk about. That's what's important.
It's been a boring weekend. Not a whole lot going on. We're gonna have to figure something else to talk about. I don't know what it is. I mean, we do actually have some big news, Gonz. This might interest you. It's certainly going to interest everybody else. We've been tracking the narrative, the operation, the social engineering campaign when it comes to the missing scientists, specifically the official list being held by the DailyMail. Now, we're watching, we're very sensitive, we're paying attention. Has this idea, this operation to create the narrative that scientists are disappearing off their back porches and walking their dogs, has it taken on a life of its own? Has it become an egregore stalking the internet and the minds of men for its devious purposes? Is it an operation coming straight down from the heads of the occult cabals controlling the minds of everybody, preparing us for some sort of big event later on this year? Or is it something else entirely? But we did encourage everybody, once we broke down the pattern and we analyzed exactly what could be going on, we challenged ourselves and everybody else to perhaps, hey, can we get ahead of it? Can we predict the next missing scientist? And the rules of the game, of course, are as follows. It must be officially reported by the Daily Mail, or else it doesn't count. Of course, everybody has their own theories. Everybody's going through the history books looking for missing scientists. But if it doesn't come straight down from the Daily Mail, then it doesn't count. Well,
are you talking about the Aryans?
You don't know what you're looking at.
What's driving that thing? It's not a space alien.
Aliens. It's unidentified.
yes,
The
in the
aliens.
West, we would pronounce it as aliens.
Oh,
with an
aliens.
L.
I'm sorry.
We have an
very
update
bad
here. The update is such: up to 12 scientists have now died or vanished under mysterious circumstances as fears of dark plot grow. Tom Leonard's forensic analysis of all the evidence raises sinister questions.
Wait, the question is sinister?
Yes, it's sinister to ask questions, Gons.
Well, that's a very strange, subtle headline. I don't think people catch that, but it raises sinister questions.
It's a
All
nice sort of little neuro-linguistic programming, some NLP, okay? To ask the questions is sinister, or the questions you may be asking are sinister. Leave it up to the establishment, Gons. Do not take this into your own hands. Perhaps this is them sort of signaling, hey, this is our operation, okay? Stop getting ahead of us. Stop trying to guess that we have a plan. Trust the plan for how we initiate a whole new generation of normies into thinking that there's some sort of devious plan stealing all of our scientists. And here's the thing. I'm not going to read this whole article, but let me give you a taste of it, because they do spend, as the Daily Mail does, they do spend an insane amount of time. Every single update that comes in this story, they have to retell the same stories, now 12 stories, over and over and over.
They got the compound effect of really breaking the internet algos down. You know, they got to repeat the same thing over and over and over again with another layer of texture added each time. Yeah. And
so, the update today is not necessarily this. There's the story goes deeper, but let me just give you a little taste here. Avid hiker Monica Reza was out with two friends walking in California's Angeles National Forest 10 months ago when she vanished into thin air. It had been a normal June day, and according to one of her companions, she'd been 30 feet behind him, smiling and waving. So they're repeating the story that began the countdown or count up. Let me skip a couple paragraphs down because we know the Monica Reza story. Over the past weeks, the Daily Mail has reported 11 scientists with links to America's space and nuclear programs who have disappeared or died under unusual, unexplained circumstances in recent years. In fact, there may be a 12th connected case, but more on that later. Okay.
Ladder. It says ladder too. Latter.
Does it?
Yeah.
Did my brain replace?
Oh no, I'm sorry. No, I'm reading the wrong Okay, the next paragraph ends with the. Okay, never mind. I'm sorry.
You're crazy.
My mistake. I know. I just see things into the future way too much.
And I want to skip down to what the 12th connection is, but the word 12th only shows up in this article once. So they're not going to make it easy to scroll down to the 12th. This is really annoying because the only reason it's really interesting to figure out who the next one they added to the list. Although I will say it says something particular about the operation and about the campaign and about the project that they're not giving us the 12th early on or even later on in the article. And that is because it doesn't matter. they're giving us the impression, hey, don't ask questions there. That's a sinister thing to do. And yes, we're up to 12 now. Okay, yes, but don't get caught up in whoever the new guy is. Okay, don't get distracted by the details, because trying to, if you dig into the details, then things, they kind of start falling apart. Okay, you'll notice that we're just going backwards in time to try to figure out who it is. And as I'm explaining this, I'm trying my darndest to
I know you're trying to find the next one.
Scroll through the 10,000 paragraphs to find the newest
Is it
one.
Lieutenant Jamie Gustitis, the 25-year-old female officer?
I don't know. I'm looking at Michael Hicks.
No, Hicks was already on the list.
Was he already on the list? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm down at Hicks now.
Okay.
See, this is the thing. Doesn't even matter. It's also undeniable that, okay. Jason Thomas? No, he was the pharmaceutical researcher.
Yeah, we already got
Where
him.
is it? Where's the 12th?
I think it's the lady. I think it's the gal, the 25-year-old. Lieutenant October, Lieutenant Jamie.
October?
Yeah.
That sounds familiar. Let's see what they say.
It does?
Last October, but that doesn't count because that's not before 2022. But let's see. Last October, Lieutenant Jamie Gustitis, 25-year-old female officer working as an operation analyst for the Air Force Research Laboratory, once led by General McCaslin at Ohio's highly sensitive Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, was killed in an apparent double murder-suicide. Her killer, Jacob Pritchard, who also worked on the base, also murdered his wife, Jamie Pritchard, before killing himself. Jeez Louise, it linked. If linked, she would bring the tally of cases cited as suspicious to 12. Okay, you found it. Good job, Gons.
Yay!
If
25 years old, my goodness, way too young.
I love this. If linked, okay. Remember how loose all the connections have needed to be. So loose, in fact, to be added to this list that you could be a janitor or you could be a pharmaceutical guy with no connections to UFOs, and you're getting connected to the list, right? Well, they say right here, Lieutenant Jamie Gustitis worked. Well, let's see if it's working as an operation analyst officer at the Air Force Research Laboratory, once led by General McCaslin. So she worked at the exact laboratory that General McCaslin worked at. How is that not automatically a connection? They're still leaving it. Yeah,
if there is a connection. If
there's a connection, because she worked at the same place that McCaslin worked at. If we could only look at the details and find some sort of connection, if we had anything to connect our red yarn on the cork board between Lieutenant Jamie Gustitis and disappeared UFO General McCaslin, or whatever his name is, I think that's very funny. I think that's it's obviously connected, but the way they're presenting it is like, well, I don't know. We don't know if it's connected. Why don't you decide for yourself? Again, I think this is them trying to hand over the, this
authority,
creature that is this narrative. No, just this thing. They're trying to set it free. Okay, look, we found another double murder homicide that's connected directly to McCaslin, but if it's linked, I don't know, you take it, you go. And then it goes on the next paragraph, right? If linked, she would bring the tally of cases cited as suspicious to 12. Next paragraph. Online sleuths have delved further back in time.
Oh, not DailyMail, just online sleuths. DailyMail had nothing to do with the retroactive adding of these missing scientists or dying scientists to the list.
Isn't that beautiful, folks? Again, this is why you got to get in early. Don't get distracted. Don't get caught up. Don't go down the rabbit holes that they are pointing you down. Zoom out and watch the operation as it unfolds, okay? They're obviously inviting you personally to connect this obviously connected murder-suicide to the obviously connected list of other 11 suspicious people. Then they immediately turn to online sleuths have delved further back in time, claiming to find more evidence of a trend. Bro, 10 of your own 12, Mr. Daily Mail, Professor Daily Mail, 10 of your own guys on the list. You had to go further and further back in time every time they added somebody. This one was in 2024. This one was in 2023. This one was in 2022. And yet they turn around and say, no, the whole back in time thing, that's the online sleuths, okay? So there's this sort of passing of the baton. And in the psychological operations, that is the ultimate goal with PSYOPs, okay? When an institution or an operation is in effect, if it's good, if it's working at best, they want to build this foundation, get the ball rolling, hand it off to the people who are basically the victims of the PSYOP. And Daily Mail is explicitly handing it off for this PSYOP to live a life of its own, a sort of egregore, this mind, mind creature, this thought being, and setting it loose on the people. So, and these are chains, folks. These are chains, sucking people in, passing it off, and whether it's distracting the online the sleuth community, whether the rabbit trail has already been dug and they need people to come to their own conclusions, right? Because the best PSYOP leads the public to their own conclusions, which just happens to be the conclusion you want them to arrive at. So I think that's pretty clear. I think our analysis of this, starting from person 7 or 8, whenever they started the list.
Well, even before that, I think McCasland was when the list started to pop up, and by the time the Daily Mail really started to talk about it as a list, it was like 3 or 4. I'm pretty sure it was like 4 or something.
Oh, I think you're right. I think it was 4, but it did start with McCasland. Once McCasland sort
triggered
of
the whole thing
profile, then they kind of started going back in time and adding.
I am very curious why this other gentleman is not included in the 12. Maybe Daily Mail, the handing of the baton may be a real thing, because the New York Post.
Yes, well, real
last
quick,
week.
there's a little signal in here. There's a little signal at the end of this that leads beautifully into what I think you're right is the next phase of this whole thing.
Well,
it says
it's not the story we had going.
Oh, you have a
an
different
little
story.
thing. Yeah.
Okay. You do that, and then I can transition into
Okay, yeah. So the New York Post last week published, NASA nuclear engineer found dead and burned Tesla after vanishing from his Alabama home last year. Okay, so this Daily Mail did not put this NASA nuclear engineer on the list. But here's what it says. NASA nuclear nuclear scientist died after a fiery crash in a rural Alabama town last year, which at the time caused suspicion among family members. Joshua LeBlanc, 29, died in a fiery crash in his Tesla on July 22nd, 2025. The crash happened in Huntsville, Alabama, where his Tesla was found burned beyond recognition at about 2:45 in the afternoon. The Alabama law enforcement agency told Fox Digital. It goes into a little bit of the details, pretty gruesome.
Why was he not already on the list?
I don't know. And it says
he got skipped over. That's not fair.
Yeah. Police tracked LeBlanc down using the data from his Tesla Sentry mode. A LinkedIn page for LeBlanc says he worked at NASA for about 5.5 years, and then he was a team lead for NASA's Space Nuclear Propulsion (SNP) instrumentation and control maturation. And then it shows the little graphic there with all those missing scientists. It says that NASA's SNP technology, quote, would enable faster and more robust transportation for crew and cargo missions to Mars and science missions to the outer solar system, according to the agency's website. LeBlanc was later a team led on NASA's demonstration rocket for agile cislunar operations, Draco, nuclear thermal propulsion engine. And then then of course, at least 12 other people, the vast majority involved in nuclear science and space research, have died or gone missing since 2022, some under mysterious circumstances. So they tie it into the list, but it's almost like the list is long enough now to where I saw somebody on X say that the list is up to 23 now, and they got like all these other people. So I think you're right. It's its own thing now, and now it's the public's job to finish it off. And the president is being asked about it. It's gotten to the point where it is
never be finished off. It's again. There's you can always add another to the list. It could become this like generations long foundation for some sort of conspiracy theory.
Of course, and I think that the being burned up in a Tesla is particularly interesting because on January 1st, 2025, in Las Vegas, in front of the Trump Tower, Trump Hotel, a gentleman, 37-year-old Matthew Allen Livelsberger, I think is how you say his name. Also, he was a U.S. Army Special Forces, and he burned alive in his Tesla. And he was the one that had the manifesto, if you recall, about the war, like foreign wars and stuff.
Anti-gravity war.
Anti-gravity technology. Yep. I think it was specifically, there's a phrase that was, because it wasn't anti-gravity. It was a very specific term. I'm trying to find it here.
Some fancy techno term.
But it's but it was exotic technologies nonetheless. And of course, it was being highlighted on the Sean Ryan show and stuff like that. So that's when we kind of started our What's Up with the CIA podcasters, bringing all this information to the public kick.
And there was also the Tesla thing. You can go all the way back to 2024. Angela Chow.
That's
a
another one.
Tesla that drove straight into a lake, like locked its doors and drove her into a lake. And they now, many years later, the story's kind of died down. It's people don't really remember it. They laid on the sort of mainstream coverage very thick that she was intoxicated,
right?
She was drunk, so that's why her Tesla automatically locked her doors and reversed her into a lake. It's like
Mitch McConnell's sister-in-law.
That's what it was. Mitch McConnell's sister-in-law, right?
Yeah.
Which is like, okay, I don't know why her being intoxicated is like the excuse for why her car in auto mode locked the doors and drove her into a lake. I mean, that kind of seems like the exact reason that auto drive even exists. Okay. But the narrative has taken on a life of its own, Gons. And again, like any good PSYOP, this is a globalized world, Gons. It's not so much about nation states. It's about network states. The one world government requires PSYOPs all over the place. And one theory, as is stated in the Daily Mail, it says it's also undeniable that foreign powers, particularly China, but also North Korea and Iran, have a long history of targeting the U.S. technology sector, American scientists, especially those involved in rocket development. Ooh, is it China? Is it Iran? Is it aliens? I don't know. But as the story goes on, Newsweek has this headline: it's crossed the Great Ocean, gone. The headline is Chinese scientists have been dying mysterious deaths too. The star of China's booming artificial intelligence defense sector had been working on Taiwan invasion scenarios until he died in an unexplained car crash in the early hours of the morning in Beijing, aged just 38.
Man.
Many questions remain over the July 1st, 2023 death of Feng Yangji. So they are going back to 2023. Nobody was talking about the weird death of China's artificial intelligence defense sector guy, Feng Yangji, I think, in 2023. But now that the beast, the monster that is this narrative, is finding its way around the world, now we can start adding scientists of rival nations onto the list. a professor at the National University of Defense Technology who had won national competitions with his pioneering War Skull platform, such as, why did an obituary? Now, see, you might just think, okay, funny, what's so great about this? Guy getting in a car crash happens all the time. But this is one of the questions that remain. Why did an obituary in the state-run science news website, sciencenet.cn, say he was, quote, sacrificed? Why was the brilliant scientist from Gansu province buried in a special cemetery in Beijing for the Communist Party elite, state heroes, and revolutionary martyrs? Yet, as in the US, Feng's death was just one of many unexpected deaths of top-flight scientists working in ultra-sensitive fields such as military AI, hypersonic weapons, and space defense, according to reports in overseas Chinese media. Okay, Chinese and overseas Chinese media. The phenomenon mirrors the wave of disappearances or deaths among American scientists that is now being investigated by Washington. In the US, there have been 11 cases. In China, at least 9. It's prompted a disturbing question, perhaps even sinister questions, among some military analysts. Is there a silent scientist war going on? Ba, ba, ba.
A secret scientist war? So what, Newsweek is implying that scientists are of different, they can't get out of the geopolitical paradigm, like this is America taking out Chinese scientists, China's taking out American scientists.
Yes,
like,
they make it sound like the scientists are the ones
wars,
at war with one another.
Yeah, okay, all right.
Which, you know,
I suppose it's possible.
They love contemplating any theory except any of them that make sense.
Right.
Just, that's the thing. And it can go on, but that's kind of the long and short of it there. So the Chinese are getting in on the game. It is now an international, thought virus. Leading not just the American people to worry about some conspiracy about their scientists, but now the Chinese. And it makes you wonder, who's actually benefiting from this? Is this a competing PSYOP? Is this part of the OG, institutional CIA American PSYOP? Or is this China trying to, is this a response from sort of Chinese PSYOP? I don't know. Mentioning the guy as a sacrifice in the Chinese news agency.
Yeah, that could be
one. Could be a translation.
A little translation thing, I think. Yeah, I mean, in the context of national heroism and myth building and creating a martyr, of course, you would maybe even use the language of American soldiers sacrificing for freedom and things like that. So I think maybe there's a little bit of a translation thing there. But the thing that's very interesting is my guess is that we're going to start hearing about Russian scientists going missing next, because Russia wants to get in on it, right? They want to get in on and Russian politicians have been falling out of windows for years. But just to tag on this, there could be, or we might be at the point where the actual group, whoever they are, might be, maybe it's becoming more public in a sense. But they're not going to do it.
What group? You mean like a group?
It's just like a shadowy group that maybe controls the advanced technology, holds it over the heads of governments and stuff like that. Just because some of the fears of some of the scientists in America that have gone missing, that was sort of their take on things before they allegedly committed suicide and things, was, hey, there's a group, they don't want this technology out there, they'll do anything to silence anybody who figures it out, kind of thing, and that narrative has been around conspiracy circles for a long time.
Yeah,
so it's not, the breakaway civilization and stuff, so it's not a crazy concept. But there must be some kind of turnover happening. I just want to tag this on, Basil. This broke this morning. It happened over the weekend. Trump administration fires independent board overseeing the National Science Foundation. I think he got rid of everybody pretty much in the National Science Foundation. And that might have to do with funding and, certain things. But this is very technocratic. If you read some 1920s pamphlets from technocracy or books and stuff. They talk about how they need the experts to help run the government more efficiently, and in that presupposition, maybe the members that are there now are insufficient for funding the right kinds of people and right kinds of projects
Yeah, well,
to
they're
allow
probably
for the distribution of the
yeah,
technology.
it's probably related to the sort of purging of the Democratic deep state to be replaced by the Republican deep state.
Sure,
I'm
maybe,
sure that
yeah,
has
yeah,
something to do with that.
yeah.
Well,
But hey, don't be a scientist. I mean, it must be scary to be a scientist nowadays. You
at
know,
least a good one, you know.
yeah, at least the ones that matter. I mean,
Well, I
these
mean,
are young people.
that's the interesting part about it. Okay, so in history, in the point in history where we're at now, we have now come through the revelatory period that was produced by and happened sort of coinciding with COVID, which is really one of the points in history where masses of people heard the phrase and woke up to the concept of scientism and the institutional control of scientific institutions, the sort of weird elite tampering with controlling consensus reality, where science as as an industry, as sort of a broad concept, lost a lot of faith because of the mishaps and the bad behavior of the scientific institutions, all the way from funding of whatever to the publishing, to the scientific journal, to the peer review, control of, in my view, control of consensus reality. A lot of people kind of woke up like, oh, these scientists and those who fund and control them are sort of made a religion out of science. And just like in all worst worst case scenarios, worst representations of religion, it turns into this sort of cabal of control. And of course, for the purposes, at least us in America and other Western places, this was to replace any sort of Christianity, to replace any sort of supernatural worldview, and not just control people's ideas of reality, but to control their behavior, to control their politics. And that began really, really crumbling around COVID and is at an all-time low right now. So, getting rid of it, the National Science Foundation is more or less, at least the government's, as an institution, their ability to have control over that religion, because it trickles down all the way. So I'm sure he will replace them with his own priests of scientism.
Right. Have we mentioned the 3-body problem? That story that a lot of people have been mentioning it in the context of these missing scientists is that, and this is partly why I think the last couple episodes, some of the more prominent people in government, congressmen and whatnot, came out and started saying like, oh, this is a national security concern that American scientists are going missing, because they would reference oftentimes the 3-body problem, which is a story that was written, I think in like the 90s or something. And I think it was mandatory reading for some Chinese intel folk about missing China. Like once technology got to a certain point, they would silence or the scientists would either commit suicide or go crazy or something like that.
It's basically just the story that we're seeing in the book,
the story that we're seeing,
problem, and then there was either a series or a movie made about it recently. Yes, it starts out, most of the book, most of the movie is scientists either disappearing or offing themselves, and it's the cause of all of this was aliens from really, really far away.
Right.
This was their sort of secret, surreptitious way to influence humanity, to make sure that humanity did not have the ability to defend themselves against them.
I mean, that's such a common plot. You could probably find many handfuls of TV shows and movies and stuff that have a similar plot. I bet you how many X-Files episodes have there been where scientists go missing? It's like part of the plot.
Sure.
So
the point of the 3-body problem, the reason it's brought up is because allegedly the Bush administration was urged or required with reading the three-body problem.
That was it. Okay.
Yeah, there's a bunch of people in the Bush administration that it was, like important enough or relevant enough that they like forced the administration to all read this book.
Yeah.
So now here's the thing. Remember, we're having fun. We're following the story. But we're zooming out. Okay, we're looking at the operation as an operation. Where is it going? What is the goal? What is the purpose? Right. The purpose of a system is what it does. So what does this do, and what is its purpose? Well, Gans, you were recently working on a list. You were working on a list to put together because it's fun when we're talking about this new era of media where independent media, podcasts, etc., are much more important to successful operations, right? And we've been tracking for years the infiltration of independent media by specifically CIA personnel, but other related personnel as well. So you started making a list, just doing your research to try to make a list of CIA, specifically CIA podcasters and CIA. What are you including? Just kind of like ex people in there? Is it mostly podcasters?
There is a lot of people go by former CIA, that title. There's a lot of people, either podcasters or people that are just out there doing interviews and things of that nature. Yes, they're going by the title former CIA.
Which is funny because the joke forever, I mean, for years and years and years, is that there's no such thing as former CIA. You're never out. Like, you might not be in the office, but even when you retire, you're still, it's more than just a job. When you're in the CIA, there's no real thing as ever being outside the CIA for a lot of reasons, but even just practically, you're required to maintain security clearance. You're required, they can come get you or ask you stuff whenever they want, because if you are former CIA, you're a huge liability. So their way of limiting that liability, they being the CIA and the government, is to make it so you're never actually really out. You're always at least accountable to the CIA in a very practical, plain way. You are always accountable to the CIA. They can always show up and say, hey, come on, what are you doing? Or, hey, we'll get you a job over here, or whatever.
Right.
And one of these gals you found was Laura Thomas.
Mm-hmm.
And Laura Thomas doesn't seem to be necessarily huge by numbers. She's got 3,400 followers over here on X. Tell us about Laura Thomas.
She is self-proclaimed in her bio Chief Strategy Officer at Fuse Energy Tech.
Ooh.
And former CIA Ops Officer.
Interesting enough, Fuse Energy, pulsed power fusion. So talking about, some fancy schmancy technology, fusion technology. This is all wrapped up in the scientist, missing scientist thing.
Yeah. I'll give a little scripture at the end of this when it comes to the energy side of things as well. But she posted something very interesting about these missing scientists.
I think it's very, I will. I think it's very, remember, because look, it's fun. Everybody's talking about the missing scientists, but we need to zoom out. We need to identify and analyze the operation, because if we're not zooming out that far enough, we're just going to get caught up in talking about the scientists. Isn't this weird? Maybe the aliens are getting them. Maybe, wow, there's some secret science war going on. Oh goodness. Now back all the way out and see where they want to lead people. Where Laura Thomas, former CIA, says, I know who's targeting American nuclear scientists.
Ooh, all right. She knows.
She says, I work in nuclear security, and I'm a former CIA officer.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Credibility.
Ready, she says. It's content creators.
What?
It's content creators, Gans.
We're killing and kidnapping scientists?
UFO promoters built the list. The Daily Mail packaged it. Joe Rogan amplified it. Okay. She's using
AI wrote this.
And every week, a new name was added to keep it trending, regardless of whether the person had any connection to nuclear weapons. Interesting. She's focusing on the nuclear weapon part. The actual data, 10 cases over 33 months.
33, you say?
33. She's very specific about this. 10 cases over 33 months. 33
is the number of completion of the Great War.
There you go.
4 have documented non-mysterious causes of death. 1 was killed by a former classmate who committed a mass shooting at Brown University 2 days earlier and then killed himself. 1 died of cardiovascular disease. 1 was murdered during a random crime spree by a suspect who was caught. 1 was found deceased with no foul play. See, it's all totally normal. I added that part. Several others on the list aren't nuclear workers at all. The narrative counts NASA, not nuclear workers. A pharmaceutical researcher. Yeah, well, we take umbrage with the pharmaceutical guy too. And a retired Air Force general as, quote, connected to nuclear secrets to inflate the number. Even accepting the broadest possible definition of who belongs on the list, the unsolved cases come to 5 people across a combined government research workforce of hundreds of thousands. Narrow it to verified nuclear security enterprise employees, and you're at 3 unsolved missing persons from a New Mexico nuclear workforce of 32,000. One of those, police stated, he left with a handgun and, quote, maybe danger to himself. Another, a 78-year-old retiree. The FBI reported 533,936 missing persons filings nationally in 2024. Over 93,000 remained unsolved at year's end. 3 cases from a population of 32,000 over nearly 3 years does not exceed what you'd expect from any comparably sized group of Americans, even before you account for the fact that these cases are centered in a state with one of the highest violent crime rates in the country. There are 200,000 practicing dentists in America. If you went looking for ones who died unexpectedly or went missing over the past 33 months, you'd find them. You could frame it as a conspiracy against dentists, though we don't see headlines like 10 dentists dead or missing. I think she's signaling something here. We've talked.
I feel like she's saying something else.
I've been very clear about my suspicion of dentists, and
I feel like she's taking some of our content and repackaging it for CIA. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting.
Pick any profession, Goms, with 30,000 plus workers. Search 33 months of obituaries and police reports, and you'll find deaths and missing persons. She's mentioned 33 3 times.
3 times, yeah.
Baseless claims like this, meant for clicks, can create negative effects on recruiting for high-impact jobs in nuclear security, plus the pain to the families. And it takes away from the real targeting of nuclear secrets and scientists that goes on from our adversaries.
Oh, so there is an actual targeting of scientists going on. So, okay, all right. So after all that ramble, she's saying there's a real thing going on where they're targeted. Okay, all right.
Every missing person case deserves an investigation. Don't be fooled, and don't let viral content substitute for actual evidence. Bum, bum, bum. So, former CIA Laura Thomas has a few. Of course, we're sitting here, we're looking at the narrative. Again, she's looking at it as the narrative too, right? She's doing what
she's crafting her own narrative.
And what she's saying is, hey, it's not a plot by the Chinese. It's not a plot by aliens, okay? It's a plot by content creators. It's a plot by independent media.
Hey, wait a minute. So she's calling out us, like you and I, Basil, are responsible for targeting American nuclear scientists and having them go missing. You and I have pulled the strings somehow and made all this happen.
Well, what she's saying is former CIA Laura Thomas is not saying really anything about the facts. What she's trying to make a case. But what she's saying is the narrative, the PSYOP is coming from inside the house. The PSYOP is created by the content creators, okay? Stop thinking that this narrative is some sort of CIA PSYOP. Stop thinking that this narrative is somehow, perpetuated or goaded on by some, elite intelligence cabal that wants to lead people down the rabbit hole, keep them chasing their tails. No, no, no. It is the independent media that is making this narrative and sending people off into every which direction.
Content creators extends beyond independent media. That could be, because after she says content creators, she mentions Daily Mail, Joe Rogan, etc. So ironically enough, Laura Thomas is creating content with this post.
She's creating content.
She's making content on X.
And so, it's part of the very interesting part of this PSYOP here, because look, Daily Mail, we see you, Daily Mail.
We've kind of seen the Daily Mail op for a long time. There were Canary Cry News Talk episodes in like 2017 where we had like 3 or 4 stories, and they were all Daily Mail stories.
We broke
have a
down
relationship
the very intimate relationship with Daily Mail and some, let's say, invisible hands that help them along.
Yeah.
So yeah, if we're taking a step back, you can see the different phases of the PSYOP. And look, Laura Thomas has 3,000 followers on X, 3,400, and this particular claim of hers has 132.4 views, which for somebody with 3,000 followers, that's a pretty good. You're a content creator, baby. That's a pretty good post.
Yeah, that's a multiples.
Success there. And it's all about, I want to dig deeper into her dentist theory here. I think she might be onto something. But it's fun because once the PSYOP reaches a certain level, that's when the misdirection comes in. That's when it's okay. We've got it going. It's got a mind of its own. Now we got to make sure to hide our tracks. So don't be mistaken. There's no secret government PSYOP going here. This is just these pesky content creators. If only we could regulate them and, censor them.
I'm kind of peeking at the list here. There are people on the CIA, the former CIA, self-described list, who are pushing for the other side of the conversation,
right?
Of the missing scientists. So, okay, so just because you're a former CIA, I guess, I don't know. Like it's
a guns. She said 33, 33, 33. Okay, so that's how you know that she's being totally legit. Okay,
very honest person.
Her post had 33, 33, 33 3 times, and that's the signal to let you know that she's telling the truth.
Yeah. Well, let's land this before we break and thank some executive producers real quick, because Laura Thomas is part of, as you mentioned, this Fuse Energy Tech, which pulsed power fusion. A lot of this seems to be about energy and energy infrastructure. And, we've been kind of on that trail for a while, like a lot of the Iran stuff. And just a lot of what's happening right now has to do with energy infrastructure. And, of course, the conversation.
Data centers going somehow,
the data centers, the UFO conversation, the exotic technologies, the gravitic propulsion technologies and stuff. It's all part of the conversation. So, what I find interesting is that in 2 Thessalonians 2:9, this is the famous passage about the counterfeit signs and wonders. And it says here that the one who's coming, the Antichrist, the son of perdition, is in accord with the activity of Satan. The word activity is energian, which is the word for energy. So energies of Satan. Now, the Bible uses the word for God's work too. Actually, it uses it in the context of God's sort of operative power more than, describing Satan's. But I did find it interesting that the word there is energy of Satan. So, then that's what creates the powers and signs, the false wonders, the counterfeit signs and wonders. So
Yeah.
that's just a little thing out there, just to kind of keep in mind as we traverse the missing scientists narrative and the exotic technologies that are allegedly being hidden from us. So
Yeah. Yeah. I think that there's more to it. I think we've hit a phase 2 of the operation, and I cannot wait to see where it leads.
yeah.
And it's a pretty boring weekend, Gons. We have a couple other
There's
stories.
nothing happened. Yeah.
Nothing
Oh,
very
no, nothing very
interesting. So, but we're gonna thank our executive producers real quick before we get into the big, totally boring stories of the weekend.
Okay. All right.
Starting, Cole, we are on the value for value, folks. You know this. I know this. Maybe you don't know this, and now you know. We don't take any money from corporations, commies, or cartels. We are entirely funded and sustained by our producers. And who are they? They are people who get value from the show. And that value is different for everybody. It looks different, it feels different, and it is of varying levels of worth, I guess. But if you get value, here's the thing. We're pushing back against the theology of advertising, of brainwashing as a funding mechanism. The whole point of this show, the whole point of this community is to try to step back as far as we can from the machinations, specifically the machinations that control information. And one way they control information, very simply, is by getting their monetized little grubby hands into independent media. When you say independent media, you might have, an idea of who that is, but what are they independent from? Just because they're not part of Fox doesn't mean they're not funded by the same theology, the same mammon worshiping control mechanism as Fox. And advertising, with its spiritually significant ancestry with the occult, with psychology, with mind control, social engineering, it is simply the advertising is the sort of love child between occult ritual and psychological manipulation. And it's all done in the name of funding your favorite podcast, but not here. We're value for value. It's very simple. If you get value, you're encouraged to put value in. It's all of our responsibility to make sure that the things that bring value to our life continue to bring value to our life. Because without it, without our lovely producers, the show will disappear. But today, we are still here. If you want to learn more about producing the show, you can go to canarycry.support.
Oh, I was not ready for that one.
That's right. Go to canarycry.support. You'll see all the options. Now, when you do support the show with your time, your talent, or your treasure, you become a producer. And if you produce any individual episode like this for $100 or more, then you're an executive producer. We got a couple executive producers to thank, Gons.
Okay.
Starting with a honorable executive producer, John W.
John W. Thank you, John W.
Thank you very much, John W. He comes in with a very generous round number, which is a good reminder for anybody producing the show. If you produce in a nice round number on the 10 or the 5, that's you telling us you'd prefer we do not disclose the amount on the show. If you don't mind us disclosing the amount on the show, you put some funky numbers on there, put 33 cents, put 77 cents, count to 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, something like that. If you have fun with the number, that's you telling us you don't mind us disclosing. But John W. came in with a nice round number, and I sent to you, John W., if you're listening, I sent you an email. You can go get that email. But until then, I want to thank you for executive producing the show, John W.
Thank you, John W. Appreciate you.
Next up, back on the list, we have executive producer, Sir Jamie, not the Lannister.
Hey, Sir Jamie. Good to see you again.
Yes. Hope all is well. Thank you very much, Sir Jamie.
Yeah,
and of course, we have executive producer, Sir LX Protocol V2, Baron of the Brian Protocol.
Wow.
That's right. He supports the show for $100 and 33 cents.
Wow.
He's
CIA.
been supporting the show for 482 episodes in a row and executive producing for 136.
Incredible.
I like this testimonial here in the chat from Danny Ray. Says Gons and our googly-eyed friend has been showing us how to unbrainwash ourselves and each other for over 10 years. That's right. That's what it's all about, folks.
Yep.
We're not here to get lost in the rabbit holes. We have matured past that point. And if the rest of the world doesn't mature past it, they're going to get stuck chasing their tails in the rabbit holes forever. That's exactly what they want. But it's about unbrainwashing yourself and the others around you. Thank you, Danny, for that comment.
Yep. Thank you.
You know, other than the executive producers, it was a pretty slow weekend for producers. We only had one other producer come in under the executive producer amount, and that is producer Rebecca T. Thank you,
Rebecca T. Thank you, Rebecca T.
And she comes in for 2233.
2233.
Illuminatus. Right.
You know what you're up to.
She is on an 18 episode streak.
18. That makes her a supernova.
This is Charlie November Tango. You are approaching supernova. Repeat, you are approaching supernova.
You've done it, Rebecca T. You have broken the streak of us not having streakers. You know, back when we started counting streaks, it was part of the fun. You know, everybody's trying to keep their streak going. But Rebecca T bringing us back to the good old days, getting that 18 episode streak. Thank you, Rebecca.
Yeah, thank you, Rebecca. Appreciate it.
So those were our financial producers who came in over the weekend. I do want to give a big old shout out to who, Gons. It's CageRattlerCoffee.com.
Cage Rattler Coffee, where value for value never tasted so good.
We get it, folks. It's tough. Value for value model is a tough thing. It goes against every transactional norm. It goes against every value that our society, our globalized economy has instilled in us. What do you mean? I'm getting the show for free. Why would I possibly have to jump in and return some value? I don't get anything extra. What the heck? Well, I get it. And if you're new and you're not quite on board with the value for value model, I can 99% guarantee, or I can guarantee that 99% of you are on board with drinking coffee. And that's why you go to CageRattlerCoffee.com, because producers of the show got together. They said, hey, we need to start building this parallel economy. What does everybody need? They need coffee. And they source GMO, organic, single origin beans from all over the world. They roast it to perfection in small batches and make it available only to Canarians. Okay. Ask any Canarian, if you're in the chat, ask any of them. They will tell you, they tell me all the time that Cage Rattler coffee is legit the best coffee they ever had. And that's because Cage Rattler coffee puts in the kind of attention and love and sort of anti-transactional morality that keeps this show going into every bean. You're going to spend money on coffee anyways. You might as well be supporting someone just like you, who's awake, who's waking up people around them, all with keeping Christ at the center. So go to CageRattlerCoffee.com. You got beans coming out of our ears over there. They're coming from Nicaragua, Costa Rica, the Congo. There's Congo beans. And you can get your Nephilim Hunter Dark Roast, your Emu Wrangler Medium Roast. It's really the best. And, of course, a portion of every sale comes to support the show. Value for value. It's a big deal. You're going to drink the coffee anyway. Stop sending it to the big evil corporations that want to dismantle the lovely parts of our society that we're trying to keep alive here. CageRattlerCoffee.com. Get it or else. Or else. Okay, we had the Kansas City meetup over the weekend here.
Okay.
You know
Do we
what?
get an update about it?
I don't know if we got an update. I'm remembering yesterday we got a speak pipe that comes in. Let me just check real quick. I don't know if what this speak pipe is related to here. Okay, Liquid Bacons sent a speak pipe. I don't know what it's about. Liquid Bacons is a fellow who calls in to Canary Cry Clubhouse a lot. So I don't know what this would be regarding. So let's hold on to it for a second.
Okay.
Just so we can just give a shout out to the Kansas City meetup. Would love to hear how it goes. Would love to hear if anybody showed up at I forgot the place that it was called, but they went to the Demon Hunter concert. I'd be interested in hearing about that. But if you want to put on a meetup or go to a meetup, just go to canarycrysupplydrop.com.
Yep.
And we are at the last 3 days, Gons, to participate in the Toph Challenge.
Okay.
The Toph Challenge, a way to multiply your generosity to help support the show and make available some extra things for demoochers, for people who produce for the first time ever. So we just a couple more days. Wednesday will be the last show of the Toph Challenge, and that is for any Canary Cry Supply Dropper or T-shirt council member to come in, executive produce the show, and for every 3 of you who do that, a demoocher will be given a whole quarter for free of a supply drop sponsored by Toph himself. So if you've never produced the show, now is the time to produce the show, because there's a very, 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 very good chance that if you produce for the first time ever, and it could possibly be your only time, you will receive a whole quarter of the supply drop. Just looking at the various numbers at this point, if you get demooched by Wednesday, you're getting a free supply drop, baby. So come on, let's go. Thank you very much to Toph for setting up the Toph Challenge, and can't wait to pass out a bunch of free supply drops to new producers.
Love it. Yep, the supply drop is fantastic. Every quarter goes out. There's some cool stuff in there this month. Basil, I got your package that I need to send you. So
yay.
It's in the mail. So
yeah, and if you're not on the supply drop, go to canarycrysupplydrop.com, sign up, support the show, and start getting cool stuff every quarter. Now, what we don't pitch a whole lot, and we're just going to make this very quick, is over at canarycrynewstalk.com, you'll see a green tab. It's at the bottom or the right-hand side of the page. Click on that, and you can leave us up to 90 seconds of a voicemail. We love hearing from everybody. Remember, if you're leaving a voicemail there, then you are agreeing to have it played on the show. If you do not want us to play it on the show, you must tell us at the top of the message, because much like what we're going to do here, we're going to play Liquid Bacon's message. We have not listened to it before, and hopefully that's okay. If it's not okay, he should tell us at the beginning. Here we go.
All right.
Hey, Canarians, this is Liquid Bacons. I just wanted to let everybody know that Sir Psalms 40 opened up that Discord thread for the Gate Roundtable. And if anybody wanted to join that, or if they suspect that they possibly were in Gate and then want to, recover a lot of the lost years or time of their past, then it's a good place to look into it, or at least learn more about it from all the lived experiences and stories that everybody's had who's been a part of it. I've been able to jump into the voice chat, and so if anybody wants to go and ask me any questions, I'm here. And he also opened up a survivor support group as well. And so if anybody's wanting help or can't get over some of the hurts from the past, church hurt, or you're part of a cult for 15 years like I had been, you could put stuff there that could be good resources that could either help others out, or I'm planning on putting stuff there too for anybody who might need help on anything. But anyways, if you want to friend me, put Gate so I know that you're from this group and not someone trying to sell me crypto or anything. All right, cool. Have a good one, guys. Bye.
Awesome. Thank you, Liquid Bacons.
Oh,
Appreciate
that's
that.
great. This is a great thing. Okay. So if you haven't been listening to Clubhouse, you really should listen to Canary Cry Clubhouse. It's filling a lot of gaps for people in the week there. And we've been talking a lot about the GATE program. That's the Gifted and Talented program in the schools and elementary school in America. And it's crazy. We've been going pretty deep on it and hearing from a bunch of people who were in GATE. And we're talking about that on Clubhouse past couple weeks. And Liquid Bacon's in Sir Psalm 40 opened up a group over in the Discord chat, the Discord channel, where they're doing some very cool stuff. So if you were in the GATE program, if you're a gifted and talented kid and you probably don't remember a lot about it, you probably only remember one or two things, you should go over to the Canary Cry Discord and do what Liquid Bacon says. Get into the GATE program. And sounds like they're also doing some cool recovery group or something when it comes to all sorts of nasty tampering with us as spiritual beings, especially as children. So to get to the Discord channel, go to canarycry.party. That is the URL. It's a list of links, and scroll down, you'll find the invite to the Discord channel. It's called Discord Chat. You just click on that, and that's the invite link, so you can go join that. Highly recommend you do. Go learn, go connect with other Canarians, and there's a lot of other cool stuff happening there too.
My mother wanted me to get into GATE so bad.
Yeah.
Overachiever Asian parents, they're like, why aren't you in GATE? You're not gifted?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not gifted enough. Not for the CIA. In hindsight, it was a gift to not be recruited.
Yeah, because they didn't want to. They didn't think you were a candidate for brainwashing or whatever, becoming a child soldier. And I'm not really sure, but yes, if you want to hear about my experiences with the GATE program and some very interesting information about how those children were selected or not selected, you can go listen to Canary Cry Clubhouse and go join the Discord channel. Get in the GATE program chat there. Okay.
Get in the GATE program.
GATE program.
Do it.
All right. We should keep going. On with the show.
Let's go. On with the show. All right. Well, I don't have a jingle for this, but I will say enough is enough.
Ooh.
That is what the White House posted this morning. It was a post. I'll read the little graphic they have here, but in the text, all they wrote was enough is enough, period. And the graphic here shows Donald Trump looking very Trumpy. And there's a quote here. I do think that the hate speech of the Democrats ... is very dangerous. I think it's dangerous for the country, end quote, President Donald Trump. So Trump invoking the enough is enough Illuminati game card, because we all know that in the 1995 Illuminati game cards, there is a enough is enough card, which a lot of people have pointed out looks kind of like Trump, the guy, screaming and yelling.
Like Trump. This is one of there are many infamous Illuminati card game cards that have connected with all sorts of weird stuff. But the enough is enough card, yes, it has a strong resemblance to a very angry Donald Trump.
What's interesting about this card also, the text below it, it says anytime or at any time, at any place, our snipers can drop you. Have a nice day.
Yes.
Play this card on your own turn before drawing any plots. You may remove all zap paralysis or attribute freeze cards that are affecting your power structure. However, preoccupied with your house cleaning, you may draw no plots this turn. So maybe the White House reference or something.
The complicated rules of the Illuminati card game.
Yeah. Interesting.
Well, that's interesting. I wonder why they would do that. That's weird. They would be sort of.
Maybe they're referencing, the crazy Democrats. They're all crazy, right? They're all crazy. Obama was a Democrat. He was pretty crazy.
Enough is enough. Yeah.
He's
well, I there was one interesting thing that happened over the weekend. It was the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Guys.
That's right. Yeah. Was
This
Trump
is-
there? He's never there? Was he there?
So this happens every year, and famously or infamously, Trump does not go to the White House Correspondents' Dinner. It's always, historically, the president shows up, and it's an opportunity for all the big hoity-toity reporters, journalists, important business people when it comes to the mainstream media. It's a time to get together and celebrate freedom of speech.
Oops, sorry.
Yeah, celebrate PSYOPs, right? Big fancy gala, and all the New York Times reporters and the Washington Post CEO and everybody gets together and says, "Isn't it great that we as Americans have free speech?" Now, the interesting thing is that up until this weekend, Donald Trump had never attended as president. He had never, during both of his terms, had never showed up, which is unusual. That's the president always shows up. In fact, he didn't always stay away from it. The last time that Trump was at the White House Correspondents' Dinner was in the year 2011. And this was the year that Barack Obama was elected to his second term. And at the time, Trump was merely a businessman and a reality television host. And famously, again, or infamously, he became the center of attention at this White House dinner, which at the time, again, it was kind of interesting because it's like, well, he's not a politician. But we have this clip, if any of us need reminding, about the ruthless burns that President Barack Obama, he had about a 5-minute roast of Donald Trump from the stage. We can get a little taste of it here.
We will launch a new age.
And I know just the guy to do it. Donald Trump is here tonight. Now, I know that he's taken some flack lately, but no one is happier, no one is prouder to put this birth certificate matter to rest than the Donald. And that's because he can finally get back to focusing on the issues that matter. Like, did we fake the moon landing? What really happened in Roswell? And where are Biggie and Tupac? Say what you will about Mr. Trump. He certainly would bring some change to the White House. Let's see what we've got up there.
Interesting. So for people just listening, he showed the graphic of the White House, but it's Trump, the White House, and the White House is written in neon.
Yeah, it's like a
sign.
Comical casino version of the White House,
Right, because he was known as the hotel guy, but also kind of like a Back to the Future Biff kind of thing going on.
Very sorry.
And this is a hotel casino golf course, which is also very interesting considering Trump over the weekend was asked about the whole gambling situation, and he said the world is like a casino now. So he did say that. And the time is interesting, 7:32, a minute away from 33.
Okay. Yeah. So there's just a taste. Obama had about 4 more minutes of roasting. And one thing that everybody notices when you watch this clip is that Trump isn't laughing. He's taking it on the chin. Everybody is erupting in laughter all around him. And it's said, this may be slightly apocryphal, but in a documentary about Trump's presidency and his campaign, they did a whole segment about how this was when Donald Trump decided to become president.
Oh, this was the moment. This was what triggered, much like Joe Biden when he saw Charlottesville, triggered him to want to run for president. This was Donald Trump's moment to
now this may or may not be true. This was in there's a documentary, I forget what it's called, but it was a documentary of Trump's bad. He's so scary.
Right. Yeah.
And the idea that he couldn't take a joke and Obama made fun of him in front of everybody was what dragged Trump over the edge to say he's going to run for president. It may be true. I don't know. Trump had been talking about running for the presidency since the 80s with Oprah, a famous conversation from the 80s or early 90s where she's begging him to run for president.
I know. Yeah. Back in the day. I do find it interesting that the moon landing gets brought up. Like all the conspiracy talking points are brought up in context to what Trump is going to do, the UFO stuff, Roswell anyway. Interesting.
Yeah.
This is very,
I know. It's really interesting watching these things be referenced from 15 years ago now, because it's like,
pretty much. Maybe that's why he wasn't laughing,
Pretty interested in the moon landing, pretty interested in aliens. I mean, funny enough, too, because even Obama himself recently came out and said that there's aliens,
He kind of started a little frenzy and then walked it back, remember?
Yeah.
They're like, we do have aliens. They're just not at Area 51.
Right. So, it just shows at least the times have changed talking about aliens in the
2011. April 2011, I think I was working on Age of Deceit.
Yeah.
That's crazy to think. Like I was running around going to conferences and meeting people and putting that whole thing together. So that's kind of intense.
So Trump hadn't been to the White House Correspondents' Dinner since this incident. It could have possibly been the reason he ran for president. And so it's kind of a big deal. All right. He's showing up. It's a sea change. It's different. He's going out there. He's getting in front of the media because, of course, he's so shy otherwise. And it was glitzy. A lot of glitter. A lot of glitter guns. In fact,
a lot of glitter.
In fact, on Fox News, I don't know the guy's name, but he was the correspondent reporting for Fox. He has this tuxedo and he has a big glittery purple collar. And, everybody's so excited. He's doing a little interview here with Karoline Leavitt. Of course, this is a big deal for Karoline Leavitt as the White House press secretary. She's got her glittery dress on. And here's a little comment from her before the event started.
To rumble, is he not?
He is ready to rumble. I will tell you, this speech tonight will be classic Donald J. Trump. It'll be funny. It'll be entertaining. There will be some shots fired tonight in the room. So everyone should tune in. It's going to be really great. I'm looking forward to hearing it.
I love it all. And you wrote most of it, you said.
I can't take credit. In true Donald Trump fashion, the man puts his pen to the paper himself. So it's a lot of...
To rumble.
Okay. All right. He's gonna shoot some shots, huh? Okay.
She's given us the what to expect. It's gonna be fun. Shots fired. Now, it's kind of I don't know, kind of a weird thing to say, but even at the end, talking about I don't take credit. Karoline Leavitt not taking credit for what's going to happen tonight, but giving all the credit to Trump. Very interesting there.
I think I'm trying to figure out who this gentleman is, but he had a very guttural laughter. Really, shots fired. Great. His glittery tuxedo is very glittery.
It's fun.
It's fold over is very
Now, it was kind of fun because it wasn't just all about the glitter and the getting excited for Trump's speech. There was also like a magician, a mentalist was there. And, he's doing some tricks. He was up there on the dais. This was before the real, event got rolling. But there's this video here of this mentalist named Oz Pearlman. And he's standing behind Trump and Melania, and Karoline Leavitt is to the right of Melania. And he seems to be doing some sort of, mentalist trick. Here's some footage of it. It's pretty interesting.
Holding a card up. Trump doesn't look amused at all. Okay. He's
talking to Karoline Leavitt, and now he pulls the card. He shows her. Everybody's so shocked. Wow, that must have been a really good magic trick he did, because the cameraman zooms all the way out. And it looks like the whole room is very excited and impressed with this man's magic trick. It must have been really good, guys. It's hard to hear anything going on, but people are very excited about it. So excited.
Uh-huh.
Well, you have something to say?
I was gonna say Oz Pearlman. He's we'll talk more about him maybe a little bit later, but he's the guy that he figured out Joe Rogan's bank pin code, and he's going on all these different podcasts and, you know, figuring out people's birthdays and, well, not birthdays, but like, you know, childhood friends, and
he's had a
all
lot
kinds
of
stuff. He's a crazy
lot
mentalist
of media lately. A lot of media. He's been going on podcasts.
Yeah.
He was on Fox News doing these sort of mentalist tricks, and it's so exciting, that trick that he did with the president there, that MediaIte wrote about it. And this is what MediaIte wrote. Mentalist Oz Pearlman reveals trick that stunned top table seconds before WHCD White House Correspondents' Dinner chaos.
Chaos.
What
chaos?
His trick just sent the whole room into chaos. It was crazy.
Wow. Okay.
Mentalist Oz Pearlman revealed on Sunday that he had just stunned President Donald Trump's pregnant White House press secretary, Karoline Leavitt, by guessing her baby's name when chaos erupted during the White House Correspondents' Dinner Saturday. Yeah, it just was a great
kind
trick.
of chaos? The chaos magician is at it again.
That's what I'm thinking here. You got this mentalist, this magician. They're talking about chaos magician up there. Backstage at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, the performer said he had been challenged by Leavitt to guess the name of her unborn daughter, but that the pair were interrupted when Trump walked in and suggested he save it for the dinner. I love it. So he's doing a little trick for Karoline Leavitt backstage, and Trump arrives and he's like, save the trick, do it on stage. Everybody's going to love it. Everybody's going to erupt into chaos about how good your trick was. And so they saved it for dinner. Later during the dinner, in footage of the moment when gunshots rang from outside the ballroom venue at the Washington Hilton.
Shots fired, you mean?
Shots fired. He must just be talking about shots fired.
Yeah, Trump's speech.
Leavitt said there's shots fired. This must be what it is. Pearlman could be seen with a notebook speaking to the press secretary. On Sunday, in a video posted by X by ABC News correspondent Jonathan Karl, Pearlman said, quote, I was guessing letter by letter how many letters were in the name. And then right at that moment, when you see it happen, I wrote down the name and said, how did I do? And then I turned around. Okay. Showing the page to Leavitt, he said she then gasped right as the chaos unfolded. I mean, he just guessed a baby's name. I don't know. It doesn't sound that impressive. Let me continue. Outside the room, gunfire erupted as 31-year-old suspect Cole Allen allegedly forced his way toward the ballroom with guns and knives before being apprehended. A Secret Service agent was shot during the incident, though protected by a vest. Pressed by Karl on what the name was, noting that the press secretary, the name of Karoline Leavitt's baby, pressed by Karl on what the name was, noting that the press secretary had given him permission, he said, I believe the name is Vivian. And then says, watch above via X. So that's kind of a cool article, you know, about this mentalist guessing the name of Karoline Leavitt's baby. Kind of weird that there's that thing right in the middle there, that kind of random paragraph about gunfire and Cole Allen and Secret Service being shot, though. You'd think that they would have written kind of their own. You'd think we would have heard more about it, Gons.
Well, I find it interesting that they're quoting Jonathan Karl as well. He's a mainstream guy, very well known for covering the CIA. He's not CIA himself, but he's very well known to be someone who's covered the CIA work over, you know, Benghazi and all kinds of stuff. So he's a true journalist, you know. I mean, getting the scoop of this whole Karoline Leavitt situation. But yeah. What's up with this shooter? Something about this?
Yeah,
a guy comes in with a gun. Like, I thought these events are really secure, and after last year or maybe a couple years ago when Trump was almost shot in the head, you'd think maybe there's a little bit of security or something.
I'm poking around here and I'm thinking it looks like we missed a story this weekend. I think maybe we may have missed something. I'm poking around right now here. I'm going to put some links into the document. If you don't mind calling an audible here. Here, I'm going to put a link here. This is JD Vance. It looks like he's getting sort of whisked away, but it's kind of weird because they whisk JD Vance away, but Trump is still there. I don't know. Maybe Vance was needed for an important call or something. Let's see what this is. Yep, there he is. Oh, he's right.
Whoa, guys in military outfits.
Guys, oh, there's Trump. Okay, then
there's Trump. Yeah.
Oh, he fell.
He fell. He fell, or they told him to get down. I think.
There we go. Either one of those.
I want my shoe.
There's the president being escorted. The president being escorted out one side. The vice president being escorted.
Okay. They're being maybe we should go. I think maybe we missed something, Gons, at the Mentalist clip. Let's go back to the Mentalist where he's doing his magic trick. Can we turn up the volume maybe? Let's see if we can hear anything. We'll start it from the beginning here. Okay, he's doing the trick.
Doing the trick. Ooh, pom. Oh,
okay. I think I heard it that time.
Sounds like someone pounding on the door.
It's easy to miss.
Boom, bomb. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, it's easy to miss. Those must have been the gunshots that they're referencing. It's very strange because as you hear the gunshots going off, nobody up there seems to hear them. They're quiet in the video for sure, but
I think maybe Melania had an idea, to be honest with you. I think maybe Melania looks very, very concerned.
He's a really good showman, Mr. Oz, because he had to finish the trick.
He has to finish.
He could not stop his very good magic trick just because he heard what sounded like gunshots. Admittedly, Trump didn't seem too worried either. I'm wondering if maybe this mentalist, this hypnotist type magician fellow, maybe he, is very, very good at catching the attention of his audience and holding the attention of the audience so that perhaps they kind of tune out the world around them. That seems like it would be kind of a mentalist skill, right?
Even Oz Pearlman has a moment where he looks up and kind of realize, like, what is going, kind of shocked, like, whoa, what's going on?
It seems, it almost kind of feels like an Ocean's 11 kind of heist, part of the heist,
Right, yes.
You go back, they show you all the things going on. It's kind of like, okay, we'll get the everybody has their own powers, right? There's like the little Asian guy who's good at like acrobatics.
Yeah.
Kind of rich guy. There's the pretty boy who can like take everybody's attention. Then there's the mentalist who can like hypnotize security guards or whatever. And maybe that's what was going on here. There's an operation and they needed to hypnotize the targets so that could buy some attention for this operation. I don't know, but it's interesting to watch because it seems like a lot of people were pretty confused as these gunshots rang out during the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Of course, JD Vance and his security, who I will note, JD Vance was nowhere near the magic trick by this Oz fellow. He was not under the spell. He seemed to know exactly what's happened in the second.
His team did for sure. Yeah. His team seemed to get him out of there real quickly.
He's whisked away, like maybe, I don't know, a full 30 seconds, maybe as less. It's probably only a few seconds, but it feels like quite the difference. Some interesting footage. Now, because it's the White House Correspondents' Dinner, the whole thing is a media event. There's cameras, reporters, everybody's filming. It's a sort of a interesting prime sort of event to catch dozens and dozens of different viewpoints, different angles, and also it's a big room full of people, so you need all these ways of covering everybody's reaction. And interestingly enough, a lot of people's reactions were caught very specifically. One notable one was Dana White, the creator and sustainer of UFC, of course, friends with Donald Trump. They're talking about doing a UFC fight at the White House. Dana White was there.
Couple months.
Yeah, here's some footage of Dana White responding when the chaos breaks out.
Oh.
He's kind of smiling.
He's smiling and looking around, and
kind of looking around. People are ducking.
People are slowly being escorted out one by one. It looks
crawling
like,
around. People are on the floor.
Where are we going?
Where are we going? He says.
Let's push out back there. Yeah.
Got a couple military guys on stage.
He's kind of having a fun time. Okay, so he later gave an interview. We're not going to play the interview on the show because it's Dana White, and if we beeped out all the bad words for the kiddos, then there wouldn't be much left to hear. But he was almost gleeful in the experience. He's talking about everybody taking cover, everybody being rushed out. And, he said he had confidence that the Secret Service and all the armed guys, he didn't think he was in danger, but he was just sort of in awe of the excitement of the moment, which I don't know. I kind of understand a little bit. If you don't feel like you're immediately in danger, it's a pretty exciting thing to be a part of.
Yeah, he said everyone was screaming to get down. I didn't get down. It was totally awesome. And he said, pretty crazy, unique experience. We were sitting right in front of the table, right in front of where the thing happened. What exactly? Nobody got tackled, but a guy came out looking for shooters, and they came forward at our table. I thought the shooter was over by us or something, but no, you didn't see an actual attacker. So, okay, I'm going to try to take it. We'll go quickly.
I think I was talking about he was getting asked something to finish his interview.
Yeah.
So he's
taking it all in, man. How often do you get to experience something like this?
Exciting, unique situation, and it's important to remember that in these kinds of situations, lots of people are having lots of different experien's.
Right, people are reacting differently.
Yeah, and in this particular one where it doesn't sound, we'll get into the details, but the shooter did not make it into the ballroom. That unless, we all have a different threshold for panic, right? And it depends on a lot of things, depends on our genetics, depends on how we were raised, depends on the experiences we've been through, depends on how many times we've been punched in the face and how many times we've punched others in the face. We all have a different threshold for panic. So Dana White, not necessarily meeting that level for panic, I think that's I could see that. That doesn't necessarily surprise me. But now there was another guy that also seemed totally unfazed.
This guy, yeah. So this is we've come to find out that this is a New Yorker. His name is Michael Glantz. He's an agent at Creative Artists Agency. And we'll play the clip here. I don't know how much audio really matters in this, but here's some of the footage. So what you're seeing is probably CNN or somebody doing the live broadcast of the situation. People are down, and there's a couple guys in suits, military outfit on the stage with guns, and this guy's just sitting. I don't even know if he's down, kneeling. Maybe he's kneeling. It looks like he's just sitting in his chair.
He's sitting in his chair.
He doesn't listen to anybody.
He has not moved an inch. Okay, he has moved so little that he
actually goes for another bite of his mashed potatoes.
He keeps eating his mashed potatoes. He hasn't moved. He's not freaking out. Everybody's on the ground and aiming guns everywhere. He's just very calmly. He's like, "This was an expensive dinner. Okay, I know they're not going to be giving refunds. Okay. A Trump White House event, they are not giving me a refund. I paid for this dinner. I'm going to finish it.
He said, I wasn't, this is a quote, I wasn't scared. There are hundreds of Secret Service agents hurtling themselves over tables and chairs, and I wanted to watch. First of all, I have a bad back. I couldn't get on the floor. And if I did get on the floor, they'd have to bring in people to get me off the floor. And number two, I'm a hygiene freak. There was no way I was getting in my new tux on the dirty Hilton floor. It's not happening.
Fearless.
This guy is, definitely
unbothered, thriving. I mean, this guy is a role model, okay? Between I mean, and we see two different guys of two pretty different dispositions who are both have not reached their threshold for panic. Right. Dana White, for some reason, this fellow just totally unbothered by the possibility of, getting taken out by a shooter here, which good for him. And he got his money's worth. He finished his dinner, I hope.
I mean, I would want to finish my meal if it's that expensive.
Yeah. Psalm 40 brings up a good past piece of analysis we've been paying attention to is the head down, hands up.
Head down, hands up. Yep.
Head down, hands up. This was what was sort of hypnotically put into the podcastosphere or the internet with the one of the airline issues recently, and this was a heads down hands up moment. I think Potato Man and Dana White being two examples. If we were like social engineers or some sort of technocrat, and we are trying to continue dialing in our ability to control population, Dana White and Mashed Potato Guy, those guys are troublemakers. Okay, they're
not going to comply.
They're not head
mind
down
control.
and upping.
I mean that they might be identifying themselves on a different kind of list. It's always one or the other. I mean,
we'll
anyway.
Now we have some other clips we're going to be showing in the.
There was a shooter. There was somebody shot. Okay, hold on.
We're going to get into
kind of missing the thing here. Where there's a shooter. There was a.
Yeah. Let's go to Trump's Truth Social post. Let's see here if he can tell us a little bit. This was after the event. He says, quite an evening in DC Secret Service, and law enforcement did a fantastic job. They acted quickly and bravely. The shooter has been apprehended, and I have recommended that we let the show go on, but will entirely be guided by law enforcement. They will make the decision shortly. Regardless of that decision, the evening will be much different than planned, and we'll just plain have to do it again. President Donald Trump also seeming quite unbothered by the thing.
Didn't he do a press conference afterwards?
I know. I was looking for a particular clip. We have some clips for the press conference. I was looking for, he mentioned this as well in his press briefing, where he was saying, we're going to keep going. We're going to go back. We're going to keep the show going. Totally chill, totally calm. And this is like one of those weird, again, just sort of perception things that's going out about this event, okay? Because of course, a shooting at any White House event is a huge deal of national security importance, not to mention politically and culture war. We'll get into that. But there are so many instances in this event that are expressing a sort of unusual and outrageous lack of panic or lack of almost interest in the thing going on. From the Mentalist to Trump to Dana White and Potato Man, from, and this is reflected again in a document we're going to read from the shooter himself. Very weird vibes around this whole thing. And part of what I'm trying to really focus on as this whole thing develops is why exactly is that and to what purpose? Trump in his press briefing immediately after. He's still in his tuxedo.
Yeah, everybody up there was in their tux with they got the bow tie and everything.
Immediately go up to give a press briefing and just literally says like, "Hey, we're we're going to listen to law enforcement, but I think we should just keep going. Like, let's get everybody back in there. Let's finish out the event."
I have a Peter Ducey question if you want to play
do you
a
know
few
what
seconds
the
just
Peter
to.
Ducey question is?
I don't. I just pulled it up. I don't know. We can kind of wing it and find out. I mean,
Uh,
Cash Patel's behind him.
Yeah, I know. Well, the only reason I don't know about that is because we have some clips planned for later.
Yeah, it's true. Okay.
Yeah, give it let's hear what his question is. Let's see if it's.
Let's see if this is worth it. I mean, the clip is almost 5 minutes long, so we won't play
That's
that.
what I mean. There's a lot in there.
Thank you, President Trump. There's a report in the New York Post that
Everybody's in their tuxes, by the way. They went from dinner party to work mode. Everyone's got to get into work mode and do their thing. That's actually kind of funny.
assailant assembled his weapon somewhere on site at the hotel. What do you think about that? And I ask respectfully, why do you think this keeps happening to you?
Well, you know, I've studied assassinations, and I must tell you, the most impactful people, the people that do the most, you take a look at the people,
Yeah, okay.
Abraham Lincoln, I mean,
we don't need to listen to this whole. This is a bit of.
I'm amazing. I'm amazing. So that's people want to kill me.
He kind of meanders for a couple minutes and talks about all the other presidents who either suffered assassination or had attempted assassinations, and takes it as a opportunity to talk about that. He's great, and they want to kill him because he's doing so much, which is probably the truth. Now let's get into the actual shooter, the actual event. I want to start with this clip shortly after Trump on his Truth Social post posted a video where somebody is recording the computer screens of what I'm assuming is the security footage on a phone. Okay, so we're a couple layers removed from.
Why is it always
footage.
like that? It's always phone recording of the computer monitor. I guess you can't translate it onto a whatever quickly enough.
Yeah, I don't know. There's for whatever reason. I mean, I guess it depends who's doing it. Like if I was just some random guy at the hotel or something, or even if I was some White House employee, I'd probably just record it and send. But it made it to him. It made it to the president himself for him to post. So it's interesting. Here we can watch it real quick. There is some sound I'd like. It's only 24 seconds long, so we're gonna play it all the way through. There's a weird thing at the end, and then we'll describe it for those who are just listening.
It looked like he checked it twice.
Lieutenant Hudson, you monitoring this area?
Shall I post it as soon as he passed down that?
18, go for
Shall I post it?
So at the end, whoever's in the room says, "Shall I post it?" Some blah 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 blah, and the other guy, you hear him say something about like, "Go post it." It's really hard to understand. The guy has a little bit of an accent too, but whatever is in this video, you can hear a discussion about whether or not to post it. So, not saying that that's like some sort of accident or something. When Trump posts things, there's very few layers between Trump the man and Trump the social media presence.
Right.
So it's possible, nobody expected him to do this or whatever.
He's the man that tore down that wall, he tore down the
video
veil.
Is a very bad black and white security camera video. Don't know why we always have to have very bad security cameras, but very bad security camera video. And what you're looking at is one of the entrances to the event. You're out in the hallway of the Hilton Hotel. They have set up some barriers and a magnetometer, the metal detector device that people have to walk through. There's about 5 or 6 security personnel chilling there. And it takes a couple seconds, but you see this black blur from way down the hallway, and then it just sprints. It just full bore sprints through the magnetometer, gets through so fast that for a couple seconds, not a couple seconds, but for quite a long time, the personnel around them don't even notice or react until he's already passed, which is a good 30 feet. You'll see one guy sitting in standing in a suit there. The guy makes it so far, about 30, 35 feet after the security checkpoint, that it catches this guy in a suit, I'm assuming Secret Service, off guard, and he like stumbles back. Now he pretty quickly, at that moment, pretty quickly, everybody raises their weapons.
Right,
and
they draw their weapons. Yeah,
draw their weapons, either start shooting or pointing. It's all off screen now. We can't quite see what's going on over there, but it looks like shots are being fired.
This is like Flash Gordon going through the lobby or something.
Yeah,
like a superhero movie moment.
And this is going to be important in this next phase of looking at this, because really, again, going back to like an Ocean's 11 kind of thing, if you were making a movie about how to get in to kill the president at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, maybe you get a job at the hotel, or you wheel somebody in a food service cart, or something, whatever, some like very clever plan to make it past security. This guy just runs. He just runs through the magnetometer. It doesn't even like skip it. He's almost got like a crazy Naruto run too. Like,
I know, yeah, he's like leaned over. Is he holding something? Is he holding a weapon allegedly in this moment?
He is. Okay. Weapons. He does have. He had a couple of handguns, a shotgun, and some knives.
Okay.
So now, one interesting thing, just to clear the plate, he shot a Secret Service agent in his vest. The Secret Service agent is fine. He did not end up shooting anybody else. So there's no, I guess, certainly no
no deaths, no casualties.
I don't know if you would say casualty, for the guy. So we can say no casualty. A fairly impotent and sort of unsuccessful attack.
The best kind for if you're a certain someone that wants some certain things done. You don't want anybody necessarily dying. Or
right.
hurt,
That's always the question, because if you're gonna plan this sort of thing, and we're gonna read some stuff from this fella where he obviously thinks that he's brilliant. As all of these people do, you don't try to pull something off like this unless you think you're smarter than everybody else. And this guy's brilliant plan was to Naruto sprint through the metal detector, thinking you're going to make it far enough to take out anybody. And he had big plans. And we know he has big plans because he had a manifesto. And New York Post here put out his manifesto in full, which is already, again, take a step back, look at the event as a narrative, okay? So rarely do we get released manifestos. And if we get them, they're leaked. And if they do release them, they omit parts. And usually, part of that is because they're usually very long. But, whether they're long or not, we so rarely get access to a manifesto, much less the manifesto the next day. And this comes from New York Post. Read White House Correspondents' Dinner suspect Cole Allen's full anti-Trump manifesto. And there's a couple interesting things in here. They give a little intro here. Accused, I don't need to give this intro. Let's get straight to his manifesto. Cole Allen's manifesto in full. Hello, everybody! Exclamation point. So I may have given a lot of people a surprise today. Let me start off by apologizing to everyone whose trust I abused. I apologize to my parents for saying I had an interview without specifying it was for Most Wanted. I apologize to my colleagues and students for saying I had a personal emergency by the time anybody reads this, I probably most certainly do need to go to the ER, but can hardly call that not a self-inflicted status. I apologize to all of the people I traveled next to, all the workers who handled my luggage, and all the other non-targeted people at the hotel who I put in danger simply for being near. I apologize to everyone who was abused and or murdered before this, to all those who suffered before I was able to attempt this, to all who may still suffer after, regardless of my success or failure. So we have this interesting series here where has three pretty specific things. I apologize to my parents who I lied to and said I had an interview. I apologize to my colleagues and my students. It was later revealed that he is a teacher, or at least teaching is one of his gigs. Again, sorry for lying that I had a personal emergency, although I might need to go to the ER. And I apologize to all the people I traveled next to, all the workers who handled my luggage. The real man of the people kind of vibe. Right?
Did he have his weapons in the luggage? Did he get on a plane? Like, I don't understand. How does he get through anything with?
So what's being reported, and this I think is interesting. Good question, Gons, because I guess maybe a month ago, I told everybody about how much I love trains now. I took a couple train rides. I said, trains are the future. Keep an eye out because we're going to start seeing a lot of train stuff.
The return of the train. Yeah.
They're going to try to stop us from flying, and they're going to try to make trains cool again. And booyah, Gen Z is very passionate about trains. I haven't brought a lot of those cultural things recently, but I will now. And I said, hey, everybody, keep an eye out for trains. Trains are going to be a big thing. And what's being reported is that he traveled from California on a train to Chicago. So it was probably the California Zephyr, an Amtrak train. And then from Chicago to Washington, D.C. Now, in my breakdown of my own train experience, one of the great things about trains is there's not like security, right?
They ask you for your ticket after you're on the train and the train's moving.
Yes.
That's one of the weird things to me. What is up with that? Why is that a thing?
Depending on the train. Yes. Depending on the train.
That's the train I was on. Yeah.
Yeah. And it depends if you're doing like a public transit train or an Amtrak train. But yeah, you can basically get on a train without having a ticket. Now, when they catch you not having a ticket, then you will be off the train, far away from your destination. But if you only need to go,
is that what they want to do?
If you only need, they just kick you off the next train stop. But if you only need to go to the next train stop, you can just get on it.
That's what I'm saying.
You'll probably get fined or something. Anyways, he took a train from California to Washington, D.C. Whether or not, the suspicion is that would be the only kind of transportation besides driving that he could take with carrying weapons. Okay. Now it's notable, remember, he's coming from California. It's notable that he came with a shotgun and a couple of pistols and not some sort of like AR platform. Right. And I think this is going to be, I think this is big. Just kind of a side note in the gun conversation, of course, California and other blue states, whenever there's a gun control debate, it's always about assault rifles, AR style assault rifles, right? But this is a Californian guy, a liberal guy, a Democrat guy, donated to Kamala Harris, had, campaign signs for Democrats in his lawn, this kind of guy, traveled across the country, pulled off a shooting, and California did such a good job of keeping this guy from having an AR-15 style assault rifle that somehow he was still able to try to cause some havoc. Okay, if not having an AR didn't stop him from attempting to hurt people.
Well, in terms of the op, though, for trains, just specifically before we move on from that, creating a desire for Gen Z to make trains cool again. Check. And then this to create the TSA for trains.
Right. Yes, that's a big part of it. We'll see a couple different instances of this. But yes, there's been a couple pieces of reporting and also statements from
Big train
various officials.
Okay.
Yes, questioning like, oh, how could they let him bring a gun on a train? Gabby says could probably take a Greyhound bus. The
Yeah.
reason why I think train is because on a Greyhound bus, if you have a big bag, they put it underneath the bus. You're separated from your bag. On a train, you're not, at least on the California Zephyr, you're not separated from your bag. You bring your own bag on. Nobody else is handling your bag. So I could see a train being having a benefit over a bus. So back to the manifesto. I apologize to my parents. I apologize to my colleagues and my students. And I apologize to all the workers and all the blah, blah, blah. And then he goes, I apologize to everyone who was abused and or murdered before this. Okay. Everyone who was abused and murdered. Everyone.
Right. Everyone
who was abused and murdered.
Jesus, what's going on here?
And to all those who suffered before I was able to attempt this. So just all suffering in the history of humanity.
All right.
To all who may still suffer after, regardless of my success or failure. So his manifesto has this vibe, of like a little bit of humor, a little lightheartedness, a little bit of personal, sorry to my parents, I lied to you. Not even sorry for doing this. I'm sorry I lied to you and said I had an interview. But implying that his killing was going to end suffering, just in general, sort of like the concept of suffering.
Well, that's what I'm saying. He's kind of putting himself as like almost like a savior-like figure, but he's also hedging that he may not succeed. So
very vague, and you could almost see he doesn't expect to succeed, except for a couple more places here. We'll see. It goes on. I don't expect forgiveness, but if I could have seen any other way to get this close, I would have taken it. Again, my sincere apologies. On to why I did any of this. I am a citizen of the United States of America. That's
a good reason to do it. That's a great reason to try to pull this off. Sorry, continue.
What my representatives do reflects on me. I mean, this is some like very leftist kind of
course
stuff here.
Yes.
I mean, what my representatives do reflects on me. It's okay. And I am no longer willing to permit a pedophile, rapist, and traitor to coat my hands with his crimes. So the idea here is he's allegedly talking, he doesn't say it explicitly, but he seems to be talking about Trump, calling him a pedophile, rapist, and a traitor. But that sin is coating him. Like, the blood is not even on Trump's hands necessarily. He's saying the blood is on his own hands for what Trump is doing, or for what,
and because he's he's the president, and because this gentleman Cole is an American, therefore metaphorically, some weird way, blood is on my hands, and I cannot permit it anymore.
Right.
Is
To
that kind of his logic?
justify doing what he's doing.
That's
right.
very
He has to
twisted logic.
clean his own hands by going in and killing people.
Sure.
And I don't necessarily believe that everything he puts in this manifesto, it's not very well thought out. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. He sent this out 10 minutes before he ran in. He sent it. So it was written in the literal minutes before he did this. So he's writing it quickly, right? This is not a manifesto or something that he'd been working on.
It's not really well thought out. He maybe wrote it on the train.
Right. So, and obviously this whole thing is not very well thought out. And he wrote this the same day as the shooting. It's referenced in here. So he wrote this just minutes before. He sent it out just minutes before. This is not a guy who had been doing a lot of like thinking, right? Like, I don't know.
He sounds like an MK Ultra victim or something.
Sounds like it's got some MK Ultra.
Somebody in his ear telling him stuff, especially with some of these next few lines here.
Talking about the mentalist performing a trick, perhaps at least catching and holding the attention, and the mentalist, they're like a magician, but they do a lot of mind reading. They do a lot of hypnotism, this kind of stuff. So we have this very interesting sort of parallel reflection of a couple of things that I think are relevant here. But yes, perhaps he didn't need to do a whole lot of thinking himself because, when you're MK Ultra or you're hypnotized or you're whatever, whether it's literal or we're just talking culturally or something, it doesn't require the person who is being controlled to do a lot of thinking. And I think the fact that this does not include a whole lot of thinking or planning, says to me that he may not even fully have been in control,
Yeah.
And not in like a robot way, but just like a social engineering kind of way. All right. And I am no longer willing to permit a pedophile, rapist, or traitor to coat my hands with his crimes. Parenthetical. Well, to be completely honest, I was no longer willing a long time ago, but this is the first real opportunity I've had to do something about it.
What do you mean this is the first real opportunity? Who's giving you this opportunity to get some guns, get on a train and show up at Washington? What?
Why this event? Why none of the other hundreds of events that Trump does? He's not hiding. Trump is doing stuff all the time in public. But this was his opportunity. The opportunity was opened to him. And not an opportunity like it, apparently. While I'm discussing this, he's discussing it. I'll also go over my expected rules of engagement, probably in a terrible format, but I'm not military, so too bad. This is his rules of engagement. Okay, he has rules of engagement. Administration officials, parenthetical, not including Mr. Patel, they are targets, prioritized from highest ranking to lowest.
So everybody except Kash Patel, the head of the FBI, is a target?
Yeah.
Why not Kash Patel?
Kind of weird. Why leave out Kash Patel? You could say, okay, everybody in the administration, they all have Trump's blood on their hands or whatever. They're all bad guys. We're going to take them down. But what on earth about Kash Patel would exclude him from the list? I'm thinking, just let me try. I'm going to try to get into his head, right? Okay. He's obviously, the Epstein files is obviously a thing, right? He calls him a pedophile and a rapist. Like, the left is all on board with the Epstein files now, even though it took them like 10 years to stop calling it a conspiracy theory. Maybe he wants to let Kash Patel live either because he put out some of the files or he wants to put out some of the files.
Oh,
or
yeah.
maybe he's going
maybe
to put out the files.
Sure. Okay.
Maybe I'm thinking maybe obviously the pedophile rapist thing is a big deal for him, which it obviously is for all of us. Kash Patel and the FBI have recently announced many successful child trafficking raids, in the past couple months.
Yeah. Well, he was really explicit about that after a little rant Kash Patel went on against the news reporter because
there's been a lot of that Kash Patel has at least been announcing a lot of success in fighting child trafficking. So maybe this guy who is a teacher and is focused on that, maybe he's letting Kash Patel live because of his success fighting child trafficking. That's all I can think of. I'm trying to really get in this guy's head.
I know he stepped down, but what about Dan Bongino? Maybe because he's gone?
Yeah, well, he probably wasn't at the White House Correspondents' Dinner.
I know, but how did he know he wasn't going to be there?
Well, because he doesn't work there anymore. But yeah, anyways, who knows? Maybe he was on the list. I don't know. But so the exclusion of Kash Patel is very interesting. Now, if you want to get a little bit more conspiratorial about it, the FBI.
I don't think we. Okay, yeah.
The FBI, just to say it for people who are like, say it. I know they're out there. Say it.
Yeah.
For those of you who are waiting to hear it and thought about it yourselves, yeah, perhaps the FBI, who is sort of famous for manipulating people who are not all there to commit crimes so that the FBI can stop those crimes for any various reasons. Pessimistically, create the crime so that you can stop the crime so that you can get more funding or whatever. With, the kidnapping plot of Gretchen Whitmer is a great example of this. 11 out of the 12 kidnappers were all FBI assets.
I mean, this is Kash Patel just protecting himself, like, all right, I'll do this. I'll mind control this kid, but I don't want him taking me out. So just make sure he puts me on the no-hit list,
Wherever the hit list was coming from, Kash Patel made sure to not be on it. I don't know. That's certainly not saying it's impossible. That would certainly crossed all of our minds. So let me go on. Administration officials, not including Kash Patel, they are targets prioritized from highest ranking to lowest. Secret Service, they are targets only if necessary and to be incapacitated non-lethally if possible. AKA, I hope they're wearing body armor because center mass with shotguns messes up people who aren't.
Interesting.
So it's kind of funny because funny is not the word, but he did say, I don't necessarily want to kill Secret Service, but I will shoot at them if I have to. I'll incapacitate them, but then admits I'm going to be aiming for center mass. Like, I'm not going to shoot them in the leg. I'm going to shoot them, but hopefully they're wearing vests.
They're wearing, bulletproof vests.
Which is exactly what happened. Next, hotel security, not targets if at all possible. Parenthetical, AKA unless they shoot at me. Capitol Police, same as hotel security. National Guard, same as hotel security. Hotel employees, not targets at all. Guests, not targets at all.
This might explain, some of the mashed potato guy. Maybe he's in on it,
So this is understood to be guests of the hotel, not people attending the event.
Oh.
Okay. And that's made explicit later. So he means guests of the hotel.
Okay.
In order to minimize casualties, I will also be using buckshot rather than slugs, less penetration through walls.
Wow. So thoughtful. I appreciate his consideration of physical damage to the building.
Right.
I want to kill these people, but look, I don't want the building to have to renovate too much afterwards. Like the whole Charlie Kirk thing, they just demolished the whole area. We don't want that. So
it's so bizarre. It goes on. I would still, now this is the answer to your question about the hotel guests versus those who are at the event. I would still go through most everyone here to get to the targets if it were absolutely necessary, on the basis that most people chose to attend a speech by a pedophile, rapist, and traitor and are thus complicit. But I really hope it doesn't come to that. So, there is an angle here that it's like, hey, he's a Democrat guy. You'd think he wouldn't want to hurt or kill New York Times reporters. And according to his manifesto, he specifically doesn't, but he will if he has to. And if he does, then he can justify it because they went to a speech by Trump. If you're going to a speech by Trump, then too bad if you get killed. It's just a lot, it's so specific, right? His set of rules is so specific and so finely tuned to be as justifiable as possible. You know what I mean? Or
Sure, yeah.
or something. It may be justifiable is not even the right word. But you could imagine, you know, a like Antifa person reading this and be like, wow, what a good guy.
He's like
What
rationalizing it in
what
the.
a nice guy. Oh,
Yeah.
and thank you. Speaking of rationalizing, this next part.
Oh.
He says rebuttals to objections. Okay, so in his brain here, he is imagining, and this is why there's something weird going on. This guy's mental state, this guy's understanding of the world, this guy writing everything that he writes. He obviously wants to be liked, okay? He wants to give people enough of a reason to not hate him, which is exactly how the left has set up potential shooters. You know, Luigi Mangione, you're gonna be a hero.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait till somebody actually gets Trump. You're gonna be a hero. You're gonna be a martyr. You're gonna be, you know, the far left, the sort of Antifa types, and unfortunately some of the moderate left, are just looking for a reason to justify criminal activity and specifically political assassination. And so he writes his manifesto in a way that is just inviting you to justify or rationalize his decision. And then it gets a little weird. He has this headline, you know, a little subheadline here, says rebuttals to objections. So these are the objections that he imagines other people will have. All right? Imagine that. You're about to go commit political assassination, and you're thinking, you know what? I really want to get ahead of all the people who are going to object to this. You know, he's got like the, I mean, and it's so classic kind of leftist too. Like, I know what you're thinking, and I have the justification to prove that you're wrong. Okay. Here is what people imagined would object to, and his rebuttals to other people's imaginary objections. Objection 1. As a Christian, you should turn the other cheek. Imagine you were talking to this fellow, and he says, I'm going to go shoot a bunch of politicians. Huh. Why would you do that? Well, their blood is on the blood that's on their hands is on my hands, and they're bad, and all suffering will end if I kill them. Okay, but as a Christian, you should turn the other cheek. Is this the first thing you would tell this guy?
No. How about do not murder?
Right,
do not
right.
kill or
Like
something.
there's a way more basic, straightforward. If you're trying to be a good Christian, how about you just go straight to don't murder? Objection 1. As a Christian, you should turn the other cheek. Okay, well, his imaginary response to this imaginary objection is rebuttal. Turning the other cheek is for when you yourself are oppressed. So he's stating here that he's not oppressed. He's not considering himself oppressed here.
All right.
He starts building a real savior complex from top to bottom, from the apologies to the justifications to the rules of engagement. He's a real sort of white hat. That's how he imagines himself. And he says here, turning the other cheek is for when you yourself are oppressed. So he's not doing this because of his own oppression. He says, I'm not the person raped in a detention camp. I'm not the fisherman executed without trial. I'm not a school kid blown up, or a child starved, or a teenage girl abused by the many criminals in this administration. So he's doing this to vindicate everyone else. He is not oppressed. Turning the other cheek when someone else is oppressed is not Christian behavior. It is complicity in the oppressor's crimes. It's not even really worth rebutting his rebuttal because his rebuttal is so obviously imaginary, right?
Let's move on.
He's having
don't want to waste any more time.
No,
on
I mean,
objection 1.
there's more, but so you see,
I know, but that's what I'm saying. Let's keep it moving.
Is in hypnotized Cuckooville.
Yes,
Objection
he has
2.
lost all.
This is
Okay.
Objection 2. This is not a convenient time for you to do this. This is not a convenient time for you to kill a bunch of people. His rebuttal.
Wait. When is it actually a convenient time to do that?
It's not convenient, man. You do it next week, please. This is not a convenient time for you to kill a bunch of politicians. His rebuttal: I need whoever thinks this way to take a couple minutes and realize that the world isn't about them. Do you think that when I see someone raped or murdered or abused, I should walk on by because it would be inconvenient for the people who aren't the victim? This was the best timing and chance of success I could come up with. This is not a convenient time to do this. This guy is cuckoo bananas. Objection 3. You didn't get them all. Rebuttal. Gotta start somewhere.
Oh, they're getting shorter. Objections and the rebuttals were getting shorter. This is good. Okay, continue.
Objection 4. As a half black, half white person, you shouldn't be the one doing this.
Oh, boy.
Rebuttal. I don't see anyone else picking up the slack.
Oh.
I mean, where do you even start? It's just insanity.
They are in Cuckooville.
I can't tell if the objection, you shouldn't be doing this, is because of the half black part or the half white part.
It doesn't matter. No one's doing anything.
Which part of him makes it that he shouldn't be doing this? It's so weird. Objection 5. Yield unto Caesar what is Caesar's.
Because that passage is about murdering politicians.
Is he talking about taxes? What in the world is he talking about? Now, this is important. Okay? Because part of the conversation that is going on, and it's the only thing the left has, they have just this one little thing they can hold on to, is that he's claiming to be a Christian, right? So they can say it was a Christian who went and attempted to murder Trump.
Oh, yeah. But he's giving all the reasons as a Christian, air quote, to justify what he did.
All of the references to Christianity, all of them, are so bewilderingly wrong and random and disconnected that the whole Christian part of this is either completely made up, or he is the perfect example of the kind of Christianity, the Kamala Harris Christianity, right? Yeah. The Democrats, especially during this midterm year, they have switched tactics, okay? They're trying to get away from the left, and now they're trying to out-Christian the right, which is always a little bit.
They want white people to run for them, and they're talking about how Christian they are. Yes.
That guy in Texas, and a couple different politicians on the left are all taking the strong Christian stance, and it's just once they start talking, you're just like, what are you even talking about? Like, it's madness. So either the Christian part is totally made up, or it's an example of the kind of crazy Christianity being manufactured for political purposes for the left. And I think it's that second one. But anywho,
that would suggest that this would be someone, if you're in the right-left paradigm, this benefits the right, if you will.
I think it's definitely very confusing. I'll say that. Because again, well, there's a lot of different ways to look at it. That's for sure. There is no logic here. That's the main.
I understand that.
even to use the phrase "yield unto Caesar what is Caesar's," which was in the context of taxes versus the real eternal value of our soul and how we should think and act and believe when it comes to governments of this world requiring and where do we draw the line on requirements that are made by earthly authorities versus heavenly authorities? That's the yield unto Caesar what is Caesar's thing. But he's probably basically just heard the phrase. I was a pastor for a long time. And one thing that happened a lot, and it is nothing against anybody, is just part of the thing. When I would give a sermon and afterwards somebody would come up to me and say, "Wow, that was incredible. Thank you." And then they would repeat back to me what they thought the sermon was about and what he was saying. And it was just totally wrong. Like they just perceived, they took their own meaning out of it rather than what I was trying to portray.
I eisegesis your message.
Yes. And I'm totally willing and do state it's possibly because I did a bad job. That's possible. But it's also that when people come to, whether it's preaching or the Bible or whatever, if they're coming at it trying to get something specifically out of it, specifically to justify themselves. When I would do a sermon, somebody would come up, "That's so awesome. I love it." Then they would say what they think it's about, and it's totally wrong. And they'd always be like, "My roommate is a bad guy because of what you said." Like there was some defense mechanism, something they heard me say justified how they felt about someone they thought was wronging them or something. Anyways, it's a normal thing. It happens all the time. But yield unto Caesar what is Caesar's, his rebuttal. The United States of America are ruled by the law, not by anyone or several people. Insofar as representatives and judges do not follow the law, no one is required to yield them anything so unlawfully ordered. I would also like to extend my appreciation to a great many people, since I will not be likely to be able to talk to them again unless the Secret Service is astoundingly incompetent. We're on the last stretch here.
Oh man, this is kind of hurting my brain. But yeah,
I think it's great. I don't know if nobody's interested. I think it's the most interesting part about the whole thing. It says, "Thank you to my family, both personal and church, for your love over these 31 years. Thank you to my friends for your companionship. Thank you to my colleagues over many jobs for your positivity and professionalism. Thank you to my students for your enthusiasm and love of learning. Thank you to the many acquaintances I've met in person and online for short interactions and long-term relationships, for your perspectives and inspiration." He really doesn't leave anybody out here, which on one hand, again, is giving this impression of like, wow, what a good guy. He really values everybody in his life. On the other hand, it's kind of like putting a little bit of blame on them. Like, thank you to everybody I've ever met in my life that has led me to the point of pulling off this atrocity. I don't know if, he's like, I don't want to leave anybody out because I don't want anybody to be sad that they got left out. I would prefer to be left out of this. Thank you. Thank you to the acquaintances I've met in person and online for short interactions and long-term relationships, for your perspectives and inspiration. Thank you all for everything. Sincerely, Cold Force, Friendly Federal Assassin, Alan. P.S. P.S. Okay. Now that all that sappy stuff is done,
oh boy,
what the heck is Secret Service doing? Sorry, I'm going to rant a bit here and drop the formal tone. His formal tone. Okay.
Well, hold on before you move on. This suggests a level of multiple personality disorder, almost admitting so that that he put on one personality for the first part, and now he's dropping that personality for this other one.
Yep. And I think you're right. I think that first half could have been written on the train going there.
Yeah.
This second half, he very obviously did like the moment before he ran in.
Right.
Hey, I'm going to drop the formal tone, okay? I've been so formal. So
he probably pulled up and was like, wait a minute, there's no security.
Exactly. He says this, like, I expected security cameras at every bend, bugged hotel rooms, armed agents every 10 feet, metal detectors out the wazoo. What I got, who knows, maybe they're pranking me, is nothing. Now, he showed up the day before. He checked into the hotel the day before this. That's the context. What I got was nothing. No dang security. Not in transport, the train. Not in the hotel. Not in the event. No security. Like, comma, the one thing that I immediately noticed walking into the hotel is the sense of arrogance. I mean, I imagine if you're walking around like this guy, you're sensing arrogance wherever you go.
Yeah, just
It's
everybody
hanging around you like a cloud. I walk in with multiple weapons, and not a single person there considers the possibility that I could be a threat. Now, what I imagined happened is he had weapons in a bag and checked into the hotel. And now
Nobody
he's
stopped him.
mocking the world for letting him check into a hotel without having his bags searched. So there is a very pro-security state attitude here. The security at the event is all outside, focused on protesters and current arrivals, because apparently no one thought about what happens if someone checks in the day before. Like, this level of incompetence is insane. And I very sincerely hope it's corrected by the time this country gets actually competent leadership again. So again, his implication is, I hope when Democrats take over, the surveillance state can really.
It's interesting. He's almost expecting a more robust security state, but it's not that, and he's appalled.
And he's also making a mistake that a lot of criminals make, is just because you don't see security or somebody watching you doesn't mean you're not being seen. Doesn't mean that
if you're in the public, especially around a hotel,
right,
there's cameras catching you doing,
especially
Secret
Service.
Yeah,
especially Secret Service. Their specialty is to not be seen seeing you. But anywho, like, if I was an Iranian agent instead of an American citizen, I could have brought a dang Madus in here, and no one would have noticed S-T.
Poop.
Not, yeah. And I'll leave Madus for a second. Actually insane. Oh, and if anyone is curious is how doing something like this feels, it's awful. I want to throw up. I want to cry for all the things I wanted to do and never will, for all the people whose trust this betrays. I experience rage thinking about everything this administration has done. Can't really recommend it. Stay in school, kids. And that's the end of the manifesto. And New York Post adds at the end, adds a note. Yes, because it needed an explanation. A Madus is a Browning M2 50 caliber heavy machine gun, a U.S. military staple for nearly a century, usually tripod mounted. So they clarify a little bit of colloquialism in there. So this guy, I don't even want to call him insane. He is 100% brainwashed, and that could go a couple different ways. Could be an actual sort of MK Ultra or other kind of social hypnotizing, or I'm even happy to say it's more like metaphorical. He's hypnotized by the insanity of his friends, his community, his church. Goodness gracious, what's going on in this church that taught this guy so many great ways to justify
what church did he go
people?
to? I'm curious about that one.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen it reported anywhere yet. It's probably known by now. It's so an absolutely bizarre sort of alarm bell ringing thing. Just his attitude, his phrasing, his bizarre mindset, his again, I don't even want to call it like bizarre justification, because all of his justifications are so easily made from a certain perspective, right?
Yeah.
From a sort of mind-controlled perspective where violence in your political party is extolled as a virtue, where Christianity is whatever you want it to be, right? It's there to justify anything, et cetera, et cetera. But it is really one of the most bizarre cases of an attempt on Trump's life. I mean, geez, even leaving Kash Patel off the list, it's just so weird. And that the interesting thing is this fellow is just a school teacher. He's just a guy, graduated from college, became a school teacher, apparently, or is giving the impression that he has a wonderful life with wonderful people. And except for this one little thing where he has to take violent retribution on people across the whole country, it's seems like a pretty straightforward guy. The pictures they include in this article, besides the one him shirtless, face down, handcuffed on the floor of the Hilton, he's wearing quarter zips, dressing all preppy. He's got his graduation robes on. Seems like a pretty put together guy. Not the sort of, I don't know, mysterious vagabond creatures that we've seen in previous attempts on Trump's life and others.
Okay, are we done with the manifesto?
Yeah.
I feel hypnotized. I feel like a mentalist has gone into my brain and took out some brain cells.
I think there's some pretty important things in there that tell us a lot about what is and is to come.
Okay, well, if that wasn't enough, folks, let's jump into the rabbit hole, shall we? We haven't even gotten into the rabbit hole yet, Basil. All right, here we go.
You jump into the rabbit hole, or should we?
What?
Should we stay in the known things? We have a couple of the known things about him before the rabbit hole.
I thought the known things are what known things? Hold on, what did we skip?
Well, the group he was a part of.
Oh, that's right. Okay, yeah, all right. Well, let's do that. Hold on, I guess my tabs got messed up or something. Where are we on the document? I'm completely.
Yeah, I can. It's right before.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. The New York Post. Oh yeah, there's that. Okay, so all right. So part of this New York Post, there's a headline here. Who are the Wide Awakes? Leftist group that White House Correspondents' dinner suspect Cole Allen was supposedly a part of. Okay, so he's part of this group called the Wide Awakes, a loosely organized group that traces its roots to Civil War abolitionists and espouses nonviolence.
Yeah, you skipped really one part here, and I think it has one important detail. Accused White House Correspondents' dinner gunman Cole Allen professed to be part of a progressive collective known as the Wide Awakes, a loosely organized group that traces its roots to the Civil War, abolitionists, and espouses nonviolence.
Right. Well, I don't know what happened there. Did they not get the message, or he didn't get the message of the nonviolence? The group calls itself a modern, quote-unquote, remix of the organization that formed during the 1860 presidential election and consisted of anti-slavery supporters of President Abraham Lincoln. Original members,
by the way.
Yeah. Original members were known for wearing costumes and putting on rowdy shows of support for the Republican president, which included flashy scenes throughout New York and other northern cities during the lead-up to the momentous election preceding the war between the states. And yeah, I guess this is it looks like this is the Wide Awakes protesting here. A photo in New York. This is yep. I don't know what year this is from, but let's see. They got the banner that said Wide Awakes with a single I. Individually, we are asleep. Together, we are wide awake. Are we? I feel like it's the complete opposite with a group like this. The future is present 2032 on their banner. Huh.
Yeah, so they're kind of like a little bit psychedelic, a little bit hippy-dippy, a little Burning Man looking. They use a lot of sort of mythical imagery. It's kind of like a bit of a psychedelic inspired political sort of movement, art collective, this kind of
Right.
thing.
Yeah, the
The
single eye
article
thing is very interesting. There's a
Well,
there's
they
a giant
even have a
Q on the
pyramid with an eye in it, with some sort of like cat figure holding a cloak over a bunch of people. I don't know who the people are, but
yeah. There's
a
a
lot of
there's a
stuff.
there's a Q on a billboard on the top left, Basil. That might tell us something. Okay, let's see. The article continues here. Today's wide awakes have no real connection to their namesake, but were founded in 2020 by a group of artists who wanted to use similar tactics to promote their beliefs. Those tactics include making colorful costumes, which members wear at marches, and activism events in the city. But the group has since grown and is now a loosely organized collection of like-minded people who continue bringing style and a sense of fun to political events. Okay, so all right. Quote, we are infinite, disruptive, enlightened, visionary, accountable. A Wide Awake's website reads, quote, we want the radical complexity of diversity. We believe creative liberation is a game, and all of us can play now and forever. We can emancipate ourselves without violence, the website adds. We don't need to be told what to believe or how to engage. We just need to be inspired to question what's there. Broadening perspective yields a safer world. End quote.
Safer worlds.
Safer.
Yes.
That was sort of mentioned in the manifesto there. And it seems anybody can join. The group invites anyone to put on their own events or create art in its name. Kind of, I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, quote, call on local DJs, musicians, speakers, organizers, and artists to plan a joyous community gathering. And maybe that's what we need to do with our meetups, Basil. We need to tell people to go to their DJs, musicians, speakers, and organize. Our call to action for like meetups are not great. It's like, hey, meet up. But we're not telling people to get all political or anything. Let's see. It's unclear if the group has any centralized organization anymore. Ooh, they're decentralized. It's a network state. Exactly how Allen was affiliated with the group also remains unclear. Okay. Officials only revealed that he considered himself to be a member. All right.
Yeah. So this is the Antifa thing all over again.
Yeah.
And that's what, these groups, if they're smart, they do. They have this sort of open affiliation. They have this sort of decentralized no leaders thing. That's at least the idea behind Antifa. It has now been found that that's not quite the case. But that's sort of the armor. That's the shield for the group. And it also gives you plausible deniability. If somebody who says they're with you does something crazy, you could say, oh, well, we don't know. Anybody can say they're with us kind of thing. So you get all the benefits of like organizing and whatever you're going to do. And then you get extra benefits for being decentralized, or at least claiming to be decentralized when things go totally off the rails.
Right. Now, there is a pattern people are pointing out here with individuals like this, shooters and stuff. I do find it interesting that Trump, during that press conference in his tuxedo, the part I caught was that he says, we'll be learning a lot about the shooter. We'll learn so much about the shooter. You're going to be surprised. He said something to that effect of, there's going to be lots of information, which, of course, anytime there's a shooter, it's like that. But MJ Truth Ultra on X noticed a pattern, Basil. Thomas Crooks appeared in BlackRock commercial in 2022. Thomas Crooks was, which guy was this guy? Which,
the Trump assassination.
Trump. Oh, that's right. That's right. Ryan Roth. He was the guy that went to Mar-a-Lago and like poked a gun through the fence or something. He got cut. Was filmed by Newsweek in 2022 about his effort to recruit mercenaries to fight in Ukraine. Cole Allen appeared in an ABC News report back in 2017. So the pattern persists with the Trump shooters. They all have prior airtime on mainstream television or news in one way or another. Here's the clip. Here's the clip of Cole Allen Caltech student. This was back in 2017.
College student Cole Allen developed a prototype for a wheelchair emergency brake.
The wheelchair brakes tend to lock the wheels, but don't actually lock the chair to the ground. The idea with this is to prevent it from moving at all.
Recent Aging into the Future conference held by St. Barnabas Senior Services and the Eisner Foundation offered a test run on products that have the potential to enrich the lives of seniors. 14 different tech startups got to present to over 350 people in the hopes of getting their projects into some sort of senior health facilities.
Aging into the Future conference.
I think it's interesting
creating
to hear the guy, and this you kind of see this across at least the shooters referenced in that list as well. Kind of a nerdy guy, right? Kind of talks like he goes to chess club. He's making little inventions. He's in the engineering club at school. He's going to entering these little contests. A little bit of a nerdy kind of guy. Which has, does line up with the kind of person that we've seen, whether it's organic or not. It's the kind of people that are a little bit isolated, don't necessarily have a bunch of, I don't even know what to call it. They're not the jocks. They're the people who are a little bit isolated, a little bit solo, a little weird, maybe a little antisocial. That's kind of,
they got the nerd angst. The nerd angst, they don't always know how to channel that. I think that's where propaganda or any kind of more deliberate mind control type of thing can actually work if they start hearing things from somebody. Yeah, if they hear somebody give him, because a lot of them, they just want somebody to speak positively into their life, give them a little confidence or something.
Give them direction.
Give them direction, things of that nature. So if they get somebody, a handler, that's speaking positively into, whatever, just as not even trying to necessarily shape it as like that he knows that it's some kind of op, but just some guy who could be an op that's saying, hey, you're a great mind, you're a smart person. I understand you sense the injustice and you can do something about, it would be very easy to radicalize people like this. So,
well, and we know they target people like that. Neurodivergence, there's a certain aspect of autists, that again are a little bit, see the world different, a little bit isolated, a little bit, there's a sort of righteousness that can come, not saying everybody who's neurodivergent is like this, but they see the world different. They go through the world different. They have a different sort of software for cohabitating on Earth with people, which a lot of times is great. A lot of times is really, really good. But also, if somebody kind of exploits that, it can end out poorly, creating.
He was just trying to build some simple PVC pipe technology for old people, And
it happens on the internet. We've seen this happen again and again. A guy like this, smart, little isolated, little different, goes on the internet, joins chat rooms, gets fired up. People start love bombing him, give him some encouragement and some clear goals to accomplish to gain the approval of his peers. On the list of things back on that New York Post, just to really get an idea, he went to anti-Trump No Kings protests in March. His sister said that he frequently espoused radical political ideas and talked about wanting to do something to fix the world. I mean, he's obviously very focused on wanting to fix things. It's just someone convinced him that the way to fix it is to kill a bunch of people. He was also an avid user of Blue Sky. I mean, where did he get these crazy violent ideas? He was an avid, not just a user, an avid user of Blue Sky, a liberal iteration of X, where he'd made more than 1,000 posts, many of which railed at President Trump and Republicans. Allen also allegedly sent a rambling anti-Trump manifesto to his family, and then we read the manifesto.
Yeah, we read the manifesto. Yeah. Okay. All right. So we get a little backstory on the guy. We know his sort of liberal leftist working. Again, I think this, in terms of the midterms, this really helps the Republicans because, you know, the Republicans don't look great for the midterms, but once this type of thing happens, it benefits them. But it also, as always, the content creators, Basil, you got to have an angle that goes deeper than just the left now because, man, the internet, they're getting smarter. You know, we're learning. We got much more bigger cosmic things to break down. And for that, you got to go down the rabbit hole.
Come, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
And not just go down the rabbit hole, but go to HindustanTimes.com because that's where all the propaganda really starts for this type of material. You're not going to get it on New York Post quite yet. Well, maybe they got a couple articles on it at this point. But the Hindustan Times, we always like to bring it because it's, you know, it's fun and it's part of the op, we believe, as we've alluded to multiple times. But the headline here, Cole Allen, time machine claims about correspondence' dinner shooter rise after Henry Martinez's post resurfaces. Cole Thomas Allen, CTA, call to action, Basil, has been identified as the shooting suspect in the White House Correspondents' Dinner, and now bizarre claims have arisen based on an old post. Cole Thomas Allen, 31, from Los Angeles, has been identified as the shooter. As more information emerges on the suspect, several bizarre claims have begun to do the rounds as well. One springs from a 2023 X post, which bizarrely just mentions Cole Allen. The post from one Henry Martinez was made on December 2022, 3 years back. 3 years? Okay. And now has gained immense traction after the shooting incident. And they have the tweet or post, I guess, embedded in the article here. And, you know, it's interesting, Basil, because when I saw this, I think when I looked at it, there was like 20 or 30,000 impressions. And then I looked like an hour later and there was like 4 million impressions of this post. Mm-hmm. So it quickly went viral and obviously grabbed people's attention. This has put Martinez's profile under this scanner as well, which in turn has sparked time travel theories. Henry Martinez, all about profile after Cole Allen post. Martinez's post has over 33.2 million views now.
Mm-hmm. You could be the 33.3rd.
Yeah. It hit the threshold. It hit 33 million. Now we can write an article about it. It has sparked considerable interest in who the person is. Not much is known about Martinez from his profile, except that he has a Pepe the Frog as his cover photo. Okay, one thing that they don't mention here is that this Henry Martinez account, this account that opened, I think, in 2021, had one post in its entire existence of the account, one post, and it said Cole Allen.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. And the post was on December 21st, 2022, which is the winter solstice.
I think it's 2023, right?
No. I think it was 2022. I'm pretty sure it was 2022. Let me double check it though. Maybe it was 2023. I don't know. Hold on. Now I'm curious. I got to go back to the post. We'll pull up the post itself. Why don't we? Since we're doing it on the fly right now as we do the show here and putting it all together. Let's see.
It's present.
Oh, you're right. 2023. You're right. 2023. Here it is. I'm looking at it right now. Yep. It's up to 54 million views now since the article was written. Yeah, December 21st, 2023. Maybe 22 was when the account was made. Is that what it is? Let's see. They're following 0, but 24. Why are you following this guy? Okay, join 2023. Okay, so why does it say 2022 or 22 on the article? Anyway, Hindustan Times always gets a little details wrong. One post, folks, and it said Cole Allen. This is the name of the shooter. All right, back to Hindustan Times here.
Yeah. By the way, he joined in December of 2023.
Yes.
Posted Cole Allen December 21st, 2023.
Yeah.
Never posted again.
Never
So
posted again.
the account seems to have been created just to post the words Cole Allen.
I'm just curious how many days since December 21st, 2023.
Oh, yeah. Good.
Yeah, it's always fun to do those little date calculators. Let's see. Let me go back to the Hindustan Times here. However, conspiracy theories have even linked the bow tie wearing frog to President Trump's appearance at the dinner. That said, it is the cover photo of Martinez's profile that has drawn all the attention. Many users on X have claimed that if they tinker with the image, the form that appears resembles Trump's now iconic photo with the pumped up fists after the assassination attempt in Butler, Pennsylvania. Okay, so they mentioned.
I don't know if they really described that in a way that I would.
No, they didn't. They didn't. I will. Yeah. We'll talk about it a little more. But so the profile itself, the profile picture is, yes, it's a Pepe. Now you said that somebody was able to show that this was changed like more recently. I don't know.
You're talking about the profile picture?
The profile picture of Pepe.
You know, I didn't track it down. I saw the claim that it got changed to the Pepe the Frog, and before the Pepe the Frog, it was a dog. But I did not see the evidence of that.
Okay.
I just thought somebody posted about it.
Now, the thing that the people are pointing out, obviously, the weird thing about it being Pepe the Frog, it's not just that it's Pepe in a tuxedo. And of course, if we're talking about the White House event, everybody's in a tuxedo. Everyone's wearing bow ties. And of course, people made the side-by-side picture of Trump from the Mentalist moment, that angle and everything, where there's a couple, I guess, either wine glasses or glasses in front of them, or in front of Trump. And, people pointed out how it looks very similar. So there's something there, I guess. So, okay, let's go back to the thing. So the other thing is the header. So with any profile account on X, you have your profile picture, and then you have your header, which is like the banner at the top. And the banner is, let's see what the article states here, because let me see if the article even just gives it a proper sort of thing here. Let's see, the header photo of the Henry Martinez X account that made one single post in 2023 that said Cole Allen looks like a modern art rendering of the Trump assassination photo. The photo links to a time machine site, one person wrote, calling it really weird. Yeah, really weird. Indeed, the photo is present on the time machine site. You can go to this site, this time machine site. And this is why I thought 2022, Basil, May 5th, 2022 is the date of this. I guess it's an article that was published, and it says 3D digitization, and that's the image. The image is, it's kind of like, I don't know, like a rainbow colored.
Yeah. For those who are listening, it's kind of a psychedelic kind of 3D looking, rainbow colorful kind of modern art representation of maybe like dripping paint.
I was going to say, yeah, dripping paint with very small drips and long sort of lines of dripping paint.
And so you just glance at it and it just kind of looks like, oh, kind of trippy, whoa, cool image kind of thing.
Right. So it says here, quote,
they keep saying time machine site. Hindustan's so annoying. Like what does that mean? It's a company called Time Machine.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. They are to explore the history of Time Machine, invigorating European history. They talk about they're basically their whole thing is digitizing history and kind of creating a sort of, I don't know, like
what the website is? Timemachine.com or something.
It's timemachine.eu. I'm looking at it right now. Let me read the about section. Time Machine is aiming to join Europe's rich past with up-to-date digital technologies and infrastructure, creating a collective digital information system mapping the European economic, social, cultural, and geographical evolution over time. So yeah, it's kind of like a art project to digitize the history of Europe or something.
It's like, yeah, kind of
picture
like
of Europe.
data analysis, some sort of analysis kind of company.
Right. It says such computation models are a key resource for developing new critical reflections of our past and future, enabling new insight for historians, social scientists, creative arts professionals, policymakers, and for the general public, with a significant common denominator contributing to informed decision-making from everyday life to academic, professional, and political matters. And they have these weird sort of visual information mushrooms and stuff. Like they got all this stuff going. So it is a little bit more esoteric than just like a company doing digital stuff. It is strange in that regard.
Yeah, it's got kind of a think tank technocrat, kind of weird globalized kind. Like it's so ambiguous that it's like, oh, they're just like getting grants from governments to fund projects or something.
Right. Now, the Hindustan Times article did mention it, and many people did the overlap. The famous picture of Trump's fight, right after the assassination attempt, he puts his fist up. We all saw it. We all said it's very strange how good that picture was. You got the American flag blowing in the background. You got blood on Trump's face. He's got the fist up. I mean, the cameraman was in the right spot at the right time. What are the odds? All that stuff. Now, if you overlay that picture over a portion of this header, you get a very strange phenomenon, Basil, because almost to a T, and for those of you watching, you're seeing it in real time here, the fight image overlays what appears to be Trump's head, his fists. I think that's what's really driving people nuts, right? It's like the fist and the head are in perfect position. Yeah. Everything else could be kind of, I don't know if it's that good, but I mean, at least Trump's head and his fist and his arms, once you see it, you can't really unsee it. You see it, even without the image overlaid, you kind of see what they're talking about when it comes to the overlay. So
right.
It is very interesting.
It's kind of crazy because it's like, okay, the implication that the conspiracy is making is that this the image that shows up on the Time Machine website that has a black cube logo of some weird, ambiguous sounding, technocratic, kind of weird think tank thing, had the image from Fight, and, did some digital artistry, whatever, did some sort of data color analysis and turned the Fight picture into like this coded, abstract, colorful piece of art. That's like the implication, right? Is that
right? Because especially because the Time Machine Company is what they're doing is capturing cultural moments and recording it through art, digital art. Yeah.
So somehow Time Machine in 2022 got the Fight picture, digitized it, made it, unrecognizable, put it on their website, black cube, Time Machine, woo, woo, woo. And then Henry Martinez, whoever it is, had it as his header image and tweeted once the name of someone who's going to attempt to kill Trump, and had the header image of this coded after Trump's first Butler assassination attempt. That's kind of the implication. It's like somebody did some time travel. Somebody's trying to tell us something. The alternative, the only alternative that I can think of. Okay. You either take the whole time travel conspiracy theory thing. The other alternative is that the event happens. Someone on the internet goes, ooh, the guy's name is Cole Allen. Let's search. Let's see if we can find Cole Allen's X account or something. They search Cole Allen. They see this tweet that just says Cole Allen on it. Oh, goodness. Okay, what's this? Weird. Okay, found the X account. Pepe the Frog, Cole Allen. Look at this header image. The only other alternative is some random person looks at this header image of just colorful nonsense and sees within it, just by chance, just sees the fight, even if it's not there, right? It's the pareidolia. They just have a pareidolia moment.
Pareidolia, yeah.
And they see the fight image in the abstract art, and it just happens to line up perfectly, which means you would have a coincidence of Henry Martinez posting Cole Allen 3 years before the event, who just randomly liked this flashy, colorful piece of art, and it just happens that there's a pareidolia that it looks like Trump and Cole Allen. It's just like, it's impossible. There is like no other. I mean, without some like real hackery tinkering, unless Elon, made this account, made it look like it came from 2023, just created the whole thing, which is totally possible. But the chances that some random person just looking at it saw the fight photo and just like compared it, it's really hard to imagine.
Yeah. I mean, there's already a lot of time travel lore around Trump, and there has been for 10 years. Right. So it's useful for this type of thing to exist in general, just to have, the other thing that people are pointing out. Yeah. It's
for time travel Trump.
Now, something that people noticed, and I don't know if this is entirely correct, Basil, but somebody pointed out that most accounts now have a grok button at the top, and so like I go to my account here, my Gons account, and there's a grok button. You can like hit it, and it'll tell you about my profile summary basically. But this Henry Martinez account does not have it. It doesn't have.
Yeah, you go to the about this account option, and this is the thing that Elon added in the recent months. You can press about this account, and it'll tell you everything about the account. It'll tell you when it was created, if they've ever changed their profile picture. It'll tell you if they ever changed their name.
It doesn't tell you if you change your profile picture, but
yes, it does.
It does?
It tells me. Yeah, I've used it multiple times. It'll tell you a date the last time they changed their profile picture. But
then you should be able to tell then if they did.
More specifically, it'll tell you where the account was made, the country in which the account was made. When you do about this account on Henry Martinez random account, it says date joined December 2023. Then it says connected via web. There's no information on location. There's no information on, changing profile pictures or changing their name. It's the most minimal amount of information I have ever seen made available on the about this account button. It's very strange.
Yeah, it is very weird. I'm sure people have looked at the metadata for the header and all that kind of stuff and seen if they can dig up anything. I mean, the post itself has a grok button, and it just says, that since the shooter, blah, 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 it's nothing too compelling. But okay, so there's more to this. There's more to talk about concerning this. Now, of course, the fight imprint, if you will, is a possibility. If you look at the account name, it's the actual @ handle is @HenryMA 79561893. And so people have done a little bit of the digging. MJ Truth Ultra on X. He said, just for fun, I thought I'd take a crack at it. The numbers in question are 79561893. Now, 1893 is immediately noticeable here. Baron Trump's marvelous underground journey was published in 1893. I mean, that information was well known by 2022 or 2023, so that's not crazy to think. Coordinates 79.561893 claimed to point near Svalbard, Norway, specifically the approximate region of the global seed vault, the doomsday bunker in the Arctic. Svalbard's general coordinates are 79, and it gives you the exact coordinates there. Astronomical distance 79,561,893 miles equals claimed approximate distance from Earth to Saturn, which kind of makes sense if you're thinking about the the date that this was published on December 21st, the winter solstice. And then
the black cube on the time
the
machine.
black cube. Oh, yeah, people were pointing out the black cube on the carpet design where Cole Allen was apprehended as well. There was like a kind of an outline of the cube type thing going on there. Biblical split 795 and 819, Psalm 79:5. How long, Lord, will thou be angry forever? Shall thy jealousy burn like fire? Cry for divine intervention in crisis. But that kind of rings weird after reading that guy's manifesto. And Psalm 91:8. Only with thine eyes shalt thou behold and see the reward of the wicked. Promise of safety while guilty are judged. Gematria. Huge fiction, I guess, is the outcome if you want to sort of finagle with things. A lot of these, I don't think we need to go necessarily down everything because some of it you can kind of, again, finagle to make things work. So that's MJ Ultra Truth or MJ Truth Ultra doing his part. Other people found this. Cole Allen interned at NASA in 2014. If we're going to connect it to the whole scientist gone missing narrative out there. According to Brian Rommel on X, in 2014, NASA published a paper and Henry Martinez was an author. He's a chief engineer at Lockheed Martin. Of course, Lockheed has their Skunk Works, which is a big part of the breakaway civilization, the secret space program conversation. An ex-user named Henry Martinez made in 2023 made only a single post. Yes. And this person provided some screenshots of a summer undergraduate program back in 2014 that apparently Cole Allen was a part of. And then, of course, Henry Martinez of Lockheed Martin publishing a paper as well. Publication May 1st, which is coming up this Friday, Basil. It's the anniversary, the 12-year anniversary of this alleged paper coming up. So that's kind of interesting. What else is there? Is there other, let's see. I did a post, I was just posting all the relevant and interesting things under it. So if anyone's interested, the link is in the description. Let's see. There was not much. Here's the picture of when he was apprehended. Trump posted it on his Truth Social. And yeah, look at the design of the carpet, Basil. That is a cube. Like, a lot of hotels have cube designs and patterns and stuff. So, maybe people are reading a little bit into it, but carpet designs is a topic of conversation when it comes to esoteric things and rituals and stuff like that. Ever since, what movie was it? There's several movies that use the carpet as sort of a reference to Saturn and things. So that's nothing new. But I did post a lot of what people collected, the research that was done. CNN published 2 days before this event, Basil, a headline: "How would an assassination attempt be staged?" So CNN in on that.
What is it about? They're just trying to say how to stage an assassination attempt?
Yeah, CNN, of course. Yeah. 2 days before this whole thing happened. A day and a half before. Yeah. Let's see. Oh, there was, going back to the actual White House Correspondents' Dinner, there was somebody who was being interviewed live on air that was cut off by Fox. And I believe I had the name of this person here. Aisha Hasni is a Fox News correspondent. A lot of people caught video of this. Let me try to find one that's like actually, instead of like a TV recording of a phone or something. Let me get this one here. Hopefully this is it. So again, she's reporting from the event and she conveniently loses signal. Oop, hold on. There's no sound. Did you have sound on that? You might have had sound for a second. Yeah, hold on. I need this for the RSS people. Here we go.
A Fox News exclusive. President Trump just told our own Aisha Hasni that he has canceled his envoy's trip to Pakistan to hold talks with Iran. Aisha Hasni sending us this direct quote from the president. "I've told my people a little while..."
This is not it. Shoot. I thought this was going to be it, but that's not it. All right. Well, we'll have to go to the bad quality footage here. Let's see. Here we go.
Good night. Texas area, trying to catch an Uber or trying to get away, transport anywhere, it takes a very long time. So I don't know how we're going to get to the White House. I'm sure there are people that are efforting that, but of course there are people, there are media outlets that have multiple reporters, so I don't think any of us are going to be able to make it, but somebody else will get there. I want to just quickly tell you, I was sitting next to Karoline Leavitt, the press secretary's husband. He was one of our guests. He was seated right next to me, and right as the dinner was starting, the national anthem happened, and then he kind of leaned over and said, I watched you on TV, you did a great job. You need to be very safe. And he was just very serious when he said that to me. And he kind of looked around the room and he said, there are some.
Sounds like we lost Aisha's phone there. And this happens.
Oh, so Aisha's talking about Karoline Leavitt's husband telling her to be safe, looking around the room, and Fox News drops the call. Interesting.
How convenient.
Caroline, we started this whole thing with Karoline Leavitt saying shots will be fired.
Mm-hmm.
And now we got her husband allegedly telling a Fox News reporter that she needs to be safe before the event.
Pretty good setup.
Being cut off. Huh.
Pretty good setup to get the people going.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Okay. Well, I think who benefits. What was the I forget the saying that we got to come with. The thing that happens is the thing that's doing the thing. What is it?
The purpose of a system is what it does.
Thank you. I like my version better. The thing that it does is the thing that it does.
Yeah, right.
So considering that, we know about Trump's ballroom. We've been talking about Trump's ballroom for a few weeks here. The bunker that was supposed to be built underneath it and so forth. And that seems to be immediately part of the narrative as to why they would need to build a ballroom is because of events like this one.
And we looked at all of the conditions that took place tonight. And I will say, it's not a particularly secure building. And I didn't want to say this, but this is why we have to have all of the attributes of what we're planning at the White House. It's actually a larger room and it's much more secure. It's drone proof, it's bulletproof glass. We need the ballroom. That's why Secret Service, that's why the military are demanding it. They've wanted the ballroom for 150 years for lots of different reasons, but today's a little bit different because today we need levels of security that probably nobody's ever seen before.
I was going to say, I didn't realize that they needed drone protection 150 years ago, but yeah, he sort of clears that up a little bit. But yeah, there you go. This is why we need a ballroom.
Well, and it's perfect because you don't even have to wait for him to make that statement to see the through line here. Go all the way back to the shooter's manifesto.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the weirder things about the manifesto is him going, okay, I'm going to drop the formal language. I mean, are you serious? There's no security. They're incompetent. I walked right in. This is crazy how easy it is for me to just walk right in with all my guns. Oh, goodness gracious. I hope they get security for trains. And I hope that, it's just an inordinate amount of his weird screed is talking about how there's no security at this Hilton. Can you believe it? The incompetence. It's so silly. Actually insane, he says, how little security is at the Hilton. And so there's a very clear through line. Now, of course, there's a lot of people who are thinking, wow, how convenient. Trump is fighting to get the ballroom made. There's people fighting him to get the ballroom made. There's, even lawsuits going. We'll get into in a second. The manifesto of the shooter himself. The fact there's a shooter at all, but then the shooter, who's obviously a little bit disconnected from reality, even he has a lot to say about how dangerous and unsecure having these events here are. And it's you'd have to fight the urge to see the direct connection and wonder, is this not so random after all? Because it is perhaps the most convenient possible thing with very little damage, very, very little, no deaths, very little collateral damage, a total, success as far as mitigating any sort of real tragedy, but also having the perfect storyline. I'll say this: if Trump you add that with the Karoline Leavitt shots will be fired. You add that with the phone call afterwards. You can easily start connecting the dots together to say, hey, maybe this whole thing was orchestrated for a purpose, and that purpose is to get Trump's ballroom pushed over the edge. We can't write it out, and certainly there are lots of people who are pretty convinced that the whole thing, the purpose of the system is what it does. And in this case, it makes a very clear case.
Well, there were many people who said that the security was very lax.
Mhm.
And I saw several X posts from not, people that were actually there who were saying, I think there was one person, I'm trying to find the one, I don't know if I put it in the resources there, Basil, but there was one person who said they've been a coordinator for the White House Correspondents' Dinner for like 11 years, and they left because they felt uneasy because the security was so low when they walked in and walked around the area. And there were other CBS News reporting analyst says he was perplexed at security for White House Correspondents' Dinner, says ID, quote, not checked at any point. So
I would ask if this was posted before or after the event, but obviously it would have had to have been after.
Well, it was after, yeah.
I could see a bunch of correspondence people. Yeah, maybe they, were surprised that they weren't frisked when they came in. But would they have ever written that if the event didn't happen? But either way, it's making the case for the ballroom.
It actually is. I know it's making the case. Well, it's supporting the thesis that it was all done for the purposes of putting in the ballroom.
Either way,
but to your point here, the Hill Justice Department urges group to drop Trump ballroom lawsuit after White House Correspondents' Dinner shooting. So there you go. It says the Department of Justice on Sunday pressed the Preservation Group suing the White House over Trump's ballroom project to drop the lawsuit in the wake of Saturday's shooting at the White House Correspondents Association dinner. In a letter posted to social media by acting attorney Todd Blanche, the DOJ pressed for the National Trust for Historic Preservation to drop its, quote, frivolous lawsuit against the Trump administration after Saturday's incident, which prompted the evacuation of the president and high-profile administration officials from the gala. Quote, if your client does not dismiss the lawsuit by 9 a.m. on Monday, the government will move to dissolve the injunction and dismiss the case in light of last night's extraordinary events, end quote. The letter continues. Trump on Saturday speaking to reporters after gunmen exchanged fire with law enforcement at the Washington Hilton.
It just talks about the ballroom quote there. But I mean, that's not nothing. The DOJ, if your client does not dismiss the lawsuit by 9 a.m., the government will move to dissolve the injunction and dismiss the case in light of last night's extraordinary events, meaning this event is going to push the government to adjust the DOJ and make it go through. There's a lot of big powers, man, who are coordinating together to make sure that this ballroom gets made. They are just obsessed with this ballroom. I mean, an incredible series of events by very, very powerful people. They want to have their fancy balls. They want to have all sorts of fancy things at the White. It's almost a little strange how much they want to have their own little party.
Maybe it's like a bail room instead of a ballroom
almost like
or something.
Ballroom holds some kind of importance that is above and beyond the explanation of why they need such a simple room. Well, some interesting things about the ballroom here. This has been pointed out, and I think it's worth pointing out. What you're seeing here now, folks, is from Getty Images. This is Trump holding up the floor plan for the proposed ballroom. And in this next image here, you have the floor plan layout for Solomon's Temple. You know the one. Yeah, that one. Now, we've been talking about the context of Donald Trump. Is he the Antichrist? Is he the Messiah, the Jewish Messiah? What role does he play in biblical prophecy and the unfolding of the end times? Well, of course, people have been following the creation of the third temple for a very long time. And Trump himself has been honored in all sorts of amazing ways by the country of Israel itself, by other organizations. And interestingly enough, just last week, Gons, there was the America reads the whole Bible in a week.
Yeah, I was going to say, he read the part about Solomon right after Solomon consecrates the temple.
Dedicating the temple. And we talked about it last week. Very interesting that Trump was chosen to read the portion dedicating
2 Chronicles 7.
Temple,
yeah.
Right, the first temple, Solomon's temple. It's almost like, there's more going on behind the scenes. Well, you look at the ballroom floor plan, you compare that to the Solomon's temple. I mean, it's pretty dang close. And for those who it's been a while since you've reviewed your Old Testament temple architecture, this is the one with the outer court, the inner court, the Holy of Holies, where the priests had to wear the bells on their toes and their garments, because that's where the presence of God was thickest on earth. So thick, so dangerous, in fact, that you had to be a special priest. And even then, sometimes those priests would never make it out. And you start looking into it's so interesting with this ballroom, because it's been going on for a while, right? We're going on a year, maybe a year and a half. And it's, it comes up every now and again. And, it's going to have a bunker. Ooh, cool. Big deal bunker. Okay, ballroom. But it's really kind of been one of these things kind of happening in the background. Like we're not focusing on the ballroom the last year and a half, but it has been happening. And there was an interesting thing that happened. I'm going to take this from forward.com, which is a Jewish outlet. The what is it called? The masthead, the
header?
The header, maybe. It's called Forward is the name of the thing. And underneath the logo here, it says Jewish Independent Nonprofit. Okay.
There you go. Yeah.
The headline says Trump's new White House ballroom architect is a Jewish immigrant who has advocated for refugees. Now, let me read a piece of it here. After parting ways with the first architect hired to carry out his vision for the White House's East Wing, President Donald Trump has picked a replacement, turning to a firm run by prominent Jewish architect who once called on Trump to keep the country's doors open to refugees and immigrants. And it tells a story about this fella named Shalom. And Shalom's parents fled Libya because of anti-Semitism. He came to the United States. He lived his life, became a very prominent architect. And they're making quite a big deal about how Shalom was very pro-immigrant, how Shalom fought against Trump's immigration bans, the Muslim ban, quote unquote, all these sort of things. Make a big point to say that, this Shalom fellow is not a friend of Trump, or at least of his policies. Says the White House confirmed on Friday that it had chosen his firm, Shalom Baroness Associates to continue the East Wing project centered around the ballroom that Trump wishes to construct. Trump clashed with the first architect on the job over the ballroom's size. Quote, Shalom is an accomplished architect whose work has shaped the architectural identity of our nation's capital for decades.
Whoa.
And
What?
his experience will be a great asset to the completion of this project, the White House spokesman Davis Ingalls said on a statement on Friday. Now, that's good. The guy sounds competent. He sounds like the right guy for the job for a lot of reasons, but to specifically point out that his work has shaped the architectural identity of Washington, D.C. for decades. Now, for those of you who've been paying attention for quite a while, the architectural identity of Washington, D.C. is a particularly interesting topic. It is not a conspiracy theory. In fact, before the show, I tracked down 3 or 4 Freemasonic outlets who spend their time defending Freemasons and talking about how great they are, which bragged about how Washington, D.C. was designed by Freemasons as a symbolic reflection of their beliefs, right?
Right.
And we've all seen, of course, the layout of the streets in Washington, D.C. that create an open binding circle, a pentagram with an open circle around it, which, of course, if you know your occult symbology, is meant to loose demons into the world. It also connects to a gigantic square and compass, and those are just the roads. Then you get into the actual buildings. It's well known that our country's capital, we're allegedly a Christian country, has basically zero Christian iconography, but is chock-a-block full with Freemasonic architecture.
Right.
Not just the buildings, of course, which are sort of passed down from the Pythagoreans, but also the monuments, the Lincoln Memorial, the Washington Memorial, the obelisk, the reflection pool, which reflects the phallus of Osiris, leading to the dome of the Capitol building, the womb of Isis, and the apotheosis of George Washington. I mean, we could go on and on, right? Washington, D.C. was very successfully created by Freemasons, and they're very proud of it. Interestingly enough, there's a big story right now with the reflection pool of the Washington Monument and how Trump is just doing such a great job fixing it. And, you know, so you talk about the architectural identity of our country's capital. It is very occult. It is very mystery school. It is very Freemason. And of course, a huge part of Freemasonic, I guess, lore, iconography, icons is Solomon's Temple. The entire Freemason Brotherhood is descendant of the architects who built Solomon's Temple. That was like their defining feature of their brotherhood, is we designed and built Solomon's Temple and everything important after that. In fact, on the Freemason websites, I learned that the Freemasons have set every cornerstone of every important building in Washington, D.C., which
of course
you could have guessed. Yeah, of course they have, but they're very proud of it. They love to brag about it. So the fact that the White House, by the way, stands as the the southernmost point of the pentagram star, which, if you know, each point of the star represents a different element of creation, and the bottom star represents spirit, or, you know, the invisible or the supernatural or something. So that's sort of the seat of supernatural power, which is directly where the White House is, which is directly where Solomon's Temple, I mean, the ballroom of the White House will be constructed.
Yeah,
I think I like, it feels like all this stuff about like security and the bunker and the safety and the stuff, you know, that's just a really, really clever way to beg for it without having to say like, no, it's really important to our mystery school heritage and the spells that we're casting on the whole world that we build Solomon's temple at the base of the pentagram of Washington, D.C. No, it's about security. It's about drones.
Yeah, it's fascinating because you go to Shalom Baronies' website, Shalom Baronies Associates Architects. He's got his portfolio, and in his portfolio, he's got the Pentagon. Wedges 2 through 5. So he helped work the Pentagon, and he's several different federal buildings. But one of them I found,
the Federal Reserve Building, the Red Cross headquarters.
Burnham Place has the square and compass as its sort of layout in front of the building. So it's not a secret or any, it's, I guess you can say hiding in plain sight. You got to be floating above it to really see the imagery. But I mean, come on, you can totally see
real quick, just to finish some things off, and we can browse more of his architecture and the important bits. The article goes on for a few more paragraphs to really lay out just how anti-Trump Baroness is. Says Baroness's selection stands out in the administration that has typically favored partisan and ideological loyalists. Baroness is a repeated donor to Democratic candidates and who has openly advocated against one of Trump's signature policies, his effort to limit refugee admissions. It takes a few paragraphs there to really lay it on thick how Shalom is against Trump in so many different ways. Let me see here. Here we go. Here's a quote. You have to wonder why he would risk a stellar career and a near pristine reputation for a project that could possibly end up in disaster. He's talking about Shalom. He could be publicly fired and castigated by the developer-in-chief or ostracized among his colleagues and clients, wrote Douglas Froling, the editor-in-chief of Washington's Business Journal, on Friday. But Froling noted that a successful build at the White House, one that balances Trump's tastes with the gravitas of the White House, would be a defining capstone for any architect's career. He may just be the perfect architecture for the job. For his sake, I hope it turns out that way, he wrote of Baroness. I want to find this one piece here. I'll just paraphrase it if I can't find it. It was also an important point made that Baroness had nothing to do with the design of the ballroom. Okay? He designed none of it. He's coming in after the designs were already made. The plans have been made. So Baroness has no touching of designing the actual blueprint. Okay? Which is an important point to make, I think, because the article lands like this. Baroness's portfolio includes multiple synagogue renovations. He donated his services to restore the interior of the 6th and 1st Jewish Center in downtown Washington, D.C., when it was reconstructed over 2 decades ago. So they sort of laid out the narrative of handing it over to this guy to finish it, specifically make the point that he has no control over the design, and then reinforces, that he is sort of known for renovating synagogues, but don't worry, it has nothing to do with the ballroom, because I think they know that if and when people see the ballroom is designed like Solomon's Temple, and this fellow is intimately involved and dedicated to progressing the Freemason design of Washington, D.C. and its architectural identity, it's giving him sort of a bit of a plausible deniability, right? which I think is smart. If I was going to do that, that's what I would do too. You got to build in some plausible deniability. He's just building what was designed before. But it's very interesting. And again, it's really, there's people who are like, oh, the Jews are building the White House or something. I don't think that's it at all. I think it's much more interesting, the Freemasonic and the sort of occult identity of Washington, D.C. Really, I think building Solomon's Temple attached to the White House, that's the capstone of Washington, D.C., right?
Yeah.
They call it the defining capstone of this guy's career. But considering everything, what more could you do if you were like a Freemason architect continuing this lineage of building the Freemasonic capital of the world, almost a spell in physical
A new
form.
Atlantis, some might call
Atlantis.
it.
Once you build Solomon's Temple at the spirit point of the pentagram, there's literally nothing else you could build. Everything else would pale in comparison to reconstructing Solomon's Temple.
This might also make sense of why they're reigniting the conversation about, we know where the Ark of the Covenant is, because part of the temple in Solomon's Temple, you have the Ark in the holiest, Holy of Holies. So maybe that's part of it. We might see the Holy of Holies appear at the new ballroom there. As a feature. One thing that it's a little uncomfortable truth about this whole thing also is, of course, you got the Jewish immigrant here, Shalom Berenice. The former architect was James C. McClary II, and he was an architect, and he was a professor at the Catholic University of America School of Architecture. So he was the Catholic guy said no, and so they brought on the Jewish guy. Interesting. And just for the just to point out,
guys like, no, I'm not going to rebuild Solomon.
The Jewish guy's like, yeah, I'll do it. Tying it back to the Mentalist that started this entire conversation, the Mentalist is of Jewish descent. He was born in Israel, and he migrated to the United States at the age of 3. And then to cap it all off, to put the capstone on this whole thing, Basil, there is an image. I should have pulled it up for the people listening or people watching, but I will tell you, there's an image of the shooter, Cole Allen, wearing an IDF shirt, the Israeli Defense
I did
Force.
see that. Now, I will say, in the image of him wearing the IDF shirt, his arm partially obscures the logo on the shirt. And so they at least, and it must be maybe
could be Photoshop, maybe, or something.
Could be Photoshop, could be something else. There's only like maybe 3/10 of the logo is actually visible, but of the 3/10 of the logo, it does look like it could be the IDF logo. But yeah, I saw that too. I wasn't able to confirm it, but that's always going to be a part of every weird thing that happens.
Here it is. Here's the Israeli Defense Force logo, and then the shirt. He's got the peace. He's got holding up a peace hand over the logo, but it says Defense Force. I mean, it looks.
You're right. I'm a little suspicious of that border on the top of his hand by the star.
Yeah,
there.
It could be. Yeah, you could see
looking
maybe
a little weird.
Yeah, sure. Well, the thing, it wouldn't be surprising for one, but also, I believe it was Oz Pearlman, the mentalist that distracted everybody during the whole thing was happening. His father was an engineer for the Israeli Navy, which is a branch of the Israeli Defense Force in Israel. So, and he served. So, there's always military ties. There's always, something going on. And also, wouldn't it be the ultimate sort of covert takeover of a country to get your capital? We talk about the Freemasons in that context, but if we are talking about a foreign nation sort of occupying the United States, to get their most sacred temple, which of course there's overlaps with Freemasonry, of course.
They are our best allies, guns.
I know. They deserve to be protected. They don't deserve to die and all that kind of stuff.
Really important ballroom that mirrors the temple at the very beginning of their sort of ancestry, then they deserve it.
Yeah. So anyway, there you go. That's it took the whole whatever episode to kind of get through all of this, and there was really no other story to tackle other than my time travel thesis, which we will save for maybe Wednesday because we're way past time.
We didn't play because it's just happens every time. The montages of horrible, violent Democrats, again, making thousands of TikToks promoting political violence.
Of course.
News at this point. Yeah. They just love political violence. It's one side. We're all used to it at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I think the greatest moment is the mashed potato guy today.
He wins. Hero.
He's the hero. He wins the entire thing.
Mashed potato man. All right. Well, I think we're getting ready to land this plane, Guns, here. I'm looking at the time.
Oh, this is a long episode, man.
Yeah, look at that. It turns out when something happens, we have something to talk about. Isn't that amazing? Mm-hmm. Well, I'm ready to land the plane. Did you want to?
No, I'm done. I will save time traveling watchers for next time.
More time travel on Wednesday, folks. Thank you very much to all of our producers. I thanked our financial producers earlier. I did not see any art come in, but if we have any people out there who are artists or talented, or you musicians, whatever it is, you can make some art, make some music, make some jingles for the show. Go to canarycry.art. You can upload the art there, and we'd love to feature it on the show. But also thank you to our producers who come and help us out with their time, namely the timestampers.
Timestamp, it's hard work. Timestamp.
Jade Bouncerson knocking out all the timestamps for the episodes right now. She did episode 934. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Also, a shout out to the Canary Cry Tech team here. Big old shout out to Jam, who heads up the Telegram channel, and Adam42, who heads up the Discord channel. You can find the links to the Telegram channel and the Discord channel over at canarycry.party. And if you were in the GATE program, know somebody in the GATE program, or just interested in the GATE program, go join the Discord, and you can join the GATE program group over there. Get into it, figure out all the secrets. Thank you to Joe for the feedback. Thank you to Clank for clicking, and thank you to Sir Ike for everything you do for us, Sir Ike. You're the best. And you, dear listener, right here, right now, watching, listening, enjoying, taking a big, deep breath after the whole thing. You only got a couple more days to come in, produce the show, executive produce the show, and make available some free supply drops to D-Moochers. D-Moochers, I'm telling you, if you've never produced the show, do it by Wednesday. You will be getting a supply drop. Thanks to the Toph challenge. Thank you, Toph. And of course, big thank you to Cage Rattler Coffee. But dear listeners, viewers, wherever you are, make sure to hit that like button. And even more important, share the show. Share it with your friends, share it with your family, share it with all the White House press corps that you know and love, because it's very important that even they, the perpetrators of these crimes on our minds, know that mainstream media does not have our best interests in mind. We call it rattling cages. And all you got to do is walk right up to him, grab him by the cage, and then you shake it.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted. I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Noah.
That's right.
There we
go. Gons, you got any last words?
Make sure to celebrate Operation. What is this? Hold on.
What is this?
Hard Attack begins tomorrow.
Okay.
That's right. 1958. Operation Hard Attack begins.
Okay. Do you know what that is? I don't know what that is.
I don't know. Yeah, it's on the Canary Cry calendar. I got to look into it.
Okay. We all have some research to do. Operation Hardtack.
And then we'll see you Wednesday, if time permits.
Operation Hardtack was a series of 35 nuclear tests conducted by the United States from April 28th to August 18th, 1958 at the Pacific Proving Grounds. So there you go. Go check it out. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning into this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Make sure to tune in on Wednesday. But until then, think outside the cage.
Whoa.
This is the way.
We're all gonna die.
It will kill.
I love the Great Reset.
He's a Satanist from one of the Satanist churches here where they sacrifice babies.
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Buy gold. Buy!
I'll keep you warm and safe in my people's zoo.
They're going to probably try and rattle her cage a little bit more.
Guns, man, you know what's going on. Guns. Canary Cry News Talk, man, what's going on? Gotta turn it on, shows coming on live. VPN on when I'm going online. Anonymity, man, cryptocurrency. We got everything you need, get it 3 times a week. Jesus Christ the King, let the Holy Spirit speak. Battle in the cage, gotta set the captive free. Value for value, to me it's not free. Wish I had a longer streak, but this creativity, go fulfill the 3 T's. That's the time, choose your talent. Give it right back, put it right back in balance. Not right or left, we not with the distractions. Catastrophes are the classic techniques, all attacks of the enemy. Getting defeated, underneath the feet of Jesus. Just believe us, media is trying to deceive you. Gotta read between the lines till you see through the disguise. It's a slit reptilian eye sitting on top of the pyramid. Got a myriad of topics, might be on a watch list. RIP face like the sun, but you cannot stop this. Like the Lord's gonna come stop us. Beast system, and this infinite wisdom. Yeah, when the time is right, yeah, we're gonna take flight like a thief in the night. So I gotta get it right. I gotta repent and sit patient. Waiting for supply drop. Google eyes don't blink, man. I need some eye drops. Google mind deep thinking for the AI thoughts. Yeah, Basil guns. You know what's going on. Basil guns. Never Cry News Talk, man, what's going on. Basil guns. And you know what's going on. Basil guns. Never Cry News Talk, man, what's going on.
You better wrap it up!
Value for value. We take no money from corporations, commies, or cartels.
Canary Cry.